Oof, what a day, people. We got a whole lot to talk about tonight. Just a few hours ago on UFC Tonight, Chael Sonnen announcing his retirement. We're going to talk about that. We got Coach Jamie Huey on to talk about that, along with Ramses Ross Allen. We're going to be talking about all about Chael Sonnen leaving the game, the memories he's left us, what we think about the NSAC, pretty much handing him down a lifetime ban because they legally allowed him to use TRT in the past. We also got a whole bunch else to talk about. Last Saturday, UFC Henderson versus Khabilov. Next Saturday, UFC 174. We're going to be breaking down all that shit along with the week of MMA news. Let's do it, people.
We did it, mama. We did it for the love of the game. We did it, mama. I did it for. Mama, we did it. The game will never be the same. We did it, mama. I did it for.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast.
It is the MMA Podcast. Thank you, Lenny Hart. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself there. I had so much to break down in that little 30-second bit. But yeah, we have got a whole ton of stuff to cover. We have got Josh Sampo, the UFC flyweight on. We're going to talk about UFC 174, break down last Saturday's card. But really the thing we're going to talk about first, huge news, Chael Sonnen retiring. First and foremost, before we play the clip though, I'll pass it around. First, making his first appearance on the MMA podcast. We've heard him on the Word on the Street probably 6 times. I'm really happy to have him on tonight. We have Coach Jamie Huey on. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, what's happening, guys? Honored to be on the podcast with you, Jake.
Hell yeah. We also have the best Jew in the business. He took a few months off, but he's been back the last few weeks, and I couldn't be happier to have him back. Ross, what's going on? Where do we find you?
You want to find me? You want to find the best Jew in the business? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the MMA Podcast. Welcome to the celebration of Chael P. Sonnen. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's very simple. You go to that search bar, or you go next to your twitter.com, you put a slash, a backslash, whatever the kids are calling it these days, and you write the name Ross Finkelstein, at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L.
Hell yeah, we're also joined by a man who's patrolling the streets of Baton Rouge. He's been on the show plenty of times. He doesn't need an introduction, but I'll give him one. Alan, how are you doing, buddy?
I don't know. After this news, I was a little shaken up at first, but just really overcome with joy just to be here with you guys and like Ross said, celebrate the man, the legend, the reason why we're all here.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. You know, I'm really sad to see him end a fighting career, but you know, we will see him on television a ton. He will still be around. He will still be a friend of all of ours, and he will still be the greatest there ever was. Speaking of the greatest there ever was, the greatest podcast host there ever was. He hosts the Word on the Street podcast every Tuesday night, where you can find pretty much everyone on this call mixed in with we had Uriah Hall last week. I'm pulling up the list. We have tons of people on. I don't need to go down the damn list. Ramses, what the hell's going on, man?
Thank you, Jake, from the MMA Podcast. You can look, people. I commend Ross for having the energy, the strength to still cut a promo like he did earlier, and I only wish he was right. I mean, we do want to celebrate Chael Sonnen on the eve of, well, this is it for him. But at the same time, this isn't much of a retirement party, although that's what we should be doing. I'm devastated, people, to tell you the truth. I can't cut my own promo. I heard the news and I've been drinking all day ever since. And that's the bottom line. That is the word on the street. I'm shattered here. I did suspect it was coming, but nothing prepares you for seeing a hero have to just hang up the gloves. It's a sad day.
Yeah, and this is the topic we're all going to be talking about. Chael Sonnen announcing his retirement tonight. And before we get into it, I think it would be fitting to hear the words from Chael Sonnen himself. Shout out to the UFC on Fox YouTube channel for putting it up. Definitely tune in to Fox Sports 1. Tune in to UFC tonight. But this was Chael Sonnen's message just a few hours ago.
Chael, you obviously made some rather big news yesterday. And just to be clear, banned substances, not illegal substances, were found in your system. Why?
Kenny, when I woke up yesterday, I was red hot when I found out about the news that I had an irregularity on my substance test with Nevada. Okay, this caught me completely off guard. And as a fighter, I went into defense mode. I was looking to explain what had happened. I was confused. They changed the rule on testosterone, as you well know. I acted to comply with that rule. But to comply, I had to take a banned substance with the goal of then getting off of all substances. The problem that I ran into is that I did not disclose this according to Nevada, and at the same time, they're saying that, look, these are banned.
Right, so the rules are different. You have the civilians. We are fighters. I'm a former fighter, of course, but as a fighter, it's your responsibility to know what you put in your system, yes or no?
Yeah, I agree with that, Kenny. And I really want to take full responsibility for this. And yesterday, again, I was a little bit in defensive mode, but the rules are the rules. And I'm a rules guy, and I believe in that. And the rule simply says that it is up to the athlete to understand what's going on and to communicate with the commission. When I spoke with Dana White yesterday privately, and when Dana White spoke with Mike Hill yesterday, he talked about the fact that Chael should have gone to the commission. Chael should have made sure that he was in compliance and communicated with the commission. Now, on a conversation standpoint, from a conversation point, Kenny, I didn't know I was going to be tested. This was a random test, and this is brand new. This is newly implemented. This hadn't been done before. So to understand how to do everything and to know what was in my system, I was a little bit lost. And all substances aren't created equal in that. Let me give you an example. If a fighter has a root canal and they come in and they do a surprise test on him, he's going to test positive for pain medication that he was given, but I think we can all understand that. I was operating under the guise that because they took away testosterone use, because they changed the rule, they would know that I had to go through a treatment plan. Now, Kenny, I was also having fertility issues with my wife. This is a very private matter. This was not something I wanted to discuss. But I needed to go on a clomiphene and HCG regimen. I needed to look at all sorts of levels, including growth hormone, also known as my IGF-1 track. I was having some medical issues. And if I have to be put in a position to make a choice between my health or my sport, I will choose my health every time. If I have to make a decision about being a parent or being a fighter, every time, without question, I will choose to be a parent. I do not like that I'm in the spot. I want to accept full responsibility, unequivocally, with no excuse. At the same time, Kenny, I can look you in the eye and tell you I would do it the same way. My wife is pregnant. I am the happiest guy in the world, and this is not bringing me down.
All right, so obviously you're admitting fault here. What's next? Where do you go from here?
You know, Kenny, you're my brother. I talk to you all the time. I could talk to you all day. But if you want me to answer that question, I want to talk directly to the thousands and thousands of fans who have supported me throughout my career. Guys, I had a great time. And there are so many people to thank, from the leadership of the UFC to the people here at Fox that have given us such a wonderful platform and opportunity. I want to thank my coach, Clayton Hires, who has stood by me through thick and thin, who taught me how to work hard, who taught me about discipline. I want to thank Roy Pittman and Dave Sandville, the coaches that I first had when I very first walked into a wrestling room. And these guys have been great. I want to thank Bill Brady of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, a man I am proud to call my friend. Kenny, I got a second wind in fighting. I got to come back, and it was solely due to Bill Brady. I'm very proud to know him and that our paths have crossed. Listen, Kenny, I don't want to be out of bounds. I want to stay within compliance. But in the 3 years that I have studied these rules, I've gotten conflicting reports, and I'm no closer to understanding them now than I've ever been. Look, my health is going to come first. My family will always come first. And someday, I will not have the title of fighter. I will lose that title, but I will never lose the title of parent and father. That is what's very important to me. And at this time, I would like to officially announce my retirement from competitive mixed martial arts.
Wow. All right. So you're retiring. After 17 years of being involved with the sport, you are hanging up your gloves right at this point. That's what you're saying.
I am officially done. I will not step foot in that octagon again.
And there it was. And it was a message that shocked a lot of people. A lot of people were thinking, if the commission wouldn't allow him to do this, would he have a career in fighting? I'll pass it to you first, Coach. What was your first reaction when you heard this news? Had you heard from Chael before he spoke on UFC tonight? Give us your thoughts.
I was. Here's the thing about Chael. Chael is the least. I don't know what the word to use. Like he is the busiest guy I know. He between running a restaurant, running the greatest amateur MMA promotion in the country, who's put 15 UFC fighters through this organization up to the UFC level, timekeeper, a judge, a referee, between hosting 2 or 3, different commentating for different UFC shows on Fox, and between being married and coaching reality TV shows and all the other things he's doing. The thing about Chael is he is always busy. He's always doing something. So, really, what is this? This isn't really the end. This is just the beginning of something new for him. This is going to free up some time where, who knows? Maybe he's going to focus on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He can get that settled, and we can. I have no idea, man. The guy's amazing. I'm excited for him. It's not the end. This is only the beginning for him. So, to hear that he was retired, I was honored to be a part of such an amazing career. For me, it was an honor to be a part of that. And I texted him maybe 20 minutes ago and just, kind of thanked him and Clayton for being loyal friends. And we kind of made a couple jokes back and forth. I made a joke Clayton can kind of finally get back to his true calling, which was delivering the mail. He's a retired postman. So we had a good laugh about that. But, man, I'm just happy for my friend. I'm excited that he's got a baby on the way, and him retiring, it really is just an opportunity for him to move on to the next thing. So he's not going away. He's just transitioning.
Ross, I assume you were watching. What were your thoughts when Chael announced he was retiring from competitive mixed martial arts?
I wasn't watching, actually. I was at a meeting. I had to get some requirements out of the way before I graduate high school and get out of school. It's my final week of school, so I was getting everything out of the way. And I turned my phone on after the meeting, and I'd seen a couple of texts. And I checked the texts, and I didn't understand what they meant. I forgot what the text said, but I didn't understand what they meant. So I responded, "What happened?" And I heard Chael retired. And it didn't shock me immediately because with everything that's happened in the past couple of days, it was obviously something that was going to happen eventually. And with the direction that this was going, it seemed like that was probably the next step. It just, as the hours go on, as the time goes on, it really does start to hit you, and it really does start to hit me that he's never going to step into the cage again. And you could never really say never, especially in mixed martial arts. But, I mean, Chael's a guy who sticks to his word, and I truly believe he'll stay retired, and I don't think he's ever going to come back. But that being said, Chael Sonnen is Chael Sonnen is someone that fighters need to look at, up and coming fighters, and just anyone who wants to be in this sport. They need to look at Chael Sonnen because he is the absolute definition of what a fighter should be and how a fighter should act. Chael Sonnen has always been a fantastic fighter. And although he never won that UFC belt, and damn it, he came so close to getting it and he should have had it, he was still one of the greatest middleweights of all time. And he took himself, who is someone who was middle of the pack when it comes to favorite fighters and who people want to see, and he sold himself so well. He hit a complete turn when he was getting ready and he wanted that Anderson Silva fight. And Chael went from guy on the prelims to someone who's main eventing every card he's on, someone who's selling out arenas and drawing 800,000 pay-per-view buys and participating in the biggest fight in MMA history against Anderson Silva.
Guy on the prelims from guy on the Wheaties box.
It's just, it's a remarkable story, and it's someone that everyone who wants to do this should go, I want to be like that guy, because not only could he talk, not only could he sell, not only did he have the best personality you could possibly have, so much charisma, but when it came down to it and they closed the door, he fought. And he backed every single word up. And that is what made Chael Sonnen the greatest true fighter, in my opinion, ever. Because even though he never won the championship, he backed up everything. And he sold himself better than anyone. Chael Sonnen is the best fighter promoter ever. He is the best personality ever. And there will never be another guy like him in the sport. And this isn't the end of an era, so to say, because now we're going to start to see Chael a lot more on Fox. And it wouldn't surprise me if Chael Sonnen was running the UFC at some point. Because, let's be honest, we all like Dana. But if there's one person we like more than Dana, for sure, it's Chael P. Sonnen.
Yeah, and Dana even said a few days ago that Chael's definitely a guy who might take the reins at some point. We actually got a tweet from a friend of ours, Davey Boy. He's been on the show a bunch. David Spears, you can follow him. DAVEI_BOI. He tweeted in, There've been legends who retired with class, but there's only one Chael Sonnen, a man who held his head high. Well put. Alan, you, Ross, and myself all split a room at the MGM Grand last November, and we all saw Chael's final fight. What were your thoughts on Chael announcing his retirement tonight, man?
Hey there.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, man, I really wasn't shocked. I kind of saw it coming, but whenever he announced it, all it did was put a smile on my face, because Chael's got nothing else that he needs to accomplish in MMA, man. He's done so much for the sport. I mean, he's branched out and done the tough show twice. He's evolved so much since where he started. And I don't know what Chael Sonnen you guys are talking about, but the Chael Sonnen that I know is the last ever WEC middleweight champion of the world. Let's set the record straight on that.
He is.
And definitely being there for his last 3 fights, man. Because of the coaches, Coach Jamie, Coach Clayton, and Miss Lisa, just being able to be a small part on that big journey, Jamie was saying, just to be a part of it and, have met Chael, spent time with his family, got to know everyone, and, just being a part of it, it solidifies, just like the type of relationship that he has with everyone. You know, he's just such a great guy. And like, you know, Coach has said and Ross has said, this is just the beginning. I mean, we're going to see more and more of Chael. He doesn't need to, you know, like he said, he doesn't need the title fighter. You know, he's not always going to be a fighter. And that's not necessarily why we all love him. We love, you know, that he fights and we enjoy watching it, but it's him as a person and, you know, his charisma, everything about him, you know, his, you know, genuineness that draws us to him. You know, there's other fighters that are, you know, more diverse, that, you know, can do different things, but, you know, they don't have the same type of fan base and the same type of following. And, you know, it's because they don't have, you know, they don't put themselves out. They don't, you know, do the things that Chael does, and they're not Chael. You know, all these people want to hate on him and, you know, make jokes and, you know, all this stuff and then hate on the fans. But until you have, like, you know, that type of relationship and you get to be a part of that team, you just can't understand. And, you know, it's just the beginning. You know, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys if it wasn't for Chael Sonnen. So I just want to say thank you to him, and I can't wait to see him and, you know, spend time with you guys and keep celebrating this.
Yeah, the guy never turned down a fight. He never turned down an autograph. I mean, seeing him just you know, thronged with fans, always being always smiling, always, you know, giving a personal touch. Just one of the nicest people. And honestly, you know, Chael, thank you, because if it wasn't for you, really, I never would have met Ross. I never, you know, would have met Allen, Ramses, all of these guys. We all sort of turned in to really good friends, and none of this would have happened if you know, it wasn't for Team Darkside. Ramses, I always got to save the best for last, but yeah, we found out today the one and only, the greatest of all time, is retiring from MMA. What were your first thoughts when you heard about it?
Well, as soon as he retired and I saw it happen, I still feel the same way: sadness and anger. I completely blame the MMA media and the commissions. I blame them. All right, they screwed up big time here, and now a good man is out of work, and nobody cares because, of course, you know, he's well off. He doesn't have to worry about money. What if he wasn't, though? That's a different story. What happened to this man is sad, and it makes me angry. And I'm not a person that experiences emotions often, but this one got me. I heard the news. I just got up and walked out my door, and went straight to I didn't even close the door to my place. I just walked out the door, went straight to the liquor store. You know, even the guy at the storefront, whatever it's called, he knew, man. He was like, you heard about Chael, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. And he sold me a bottle of Cristal, and I'm gonna drink it now. And I propose a toast to the greatest of all time. You are right, my favorite fighter of all time. I wasn't a fan, I was a believer. Just an all-around good human being. Chael Sonnen, a bottle of Cristal, the year 1997, people, which was the year that Chael Sonnen first started MMA. So, Chael, man, this one's going out to you. I'm devastated. This is worse than when, yeah, and I'm not even joking. This is worse than the time that you were a little kid and Hulk Hogan retired for the second time after the Royal Rumble. This is absolute proof, in my opinion, that there is no God, and that is the word in the street. But this drink goes out to you, Chael.
Another tweet comes from Conley Razor, saying few people have the ability to show not only their true spirit but their true self to the world. Chael, an icon to be admired. But Ramses, as you chug expensive liquor, you brought up a point that I really want to talk about, and it's anger and it's frustration at the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because what they have essentially done is they have ended a man's career for something that they let him do legally in the past. They gave Chael a TUE, a therapeutic use exemption for TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. They let him use it under their eyes so he could get his levels to a normal place. Then they totally banned it, which honestly, is a really good move, because we can't have a bunch of people on it. We just we just need to let people like Chael, who need that to get to a normal level, to use it. The fact that they're not letting him use other substances to get himself to a normal level is bizarre, and it seems like the choice the commission has made is saying, well, yeah, we did let you use TRT in the past, but now we're not going to let you use it. And not only that, we're not going to let you use the drugs in a transitionatory period that will get you back to a normal level. So we're essentially ending your career. Sorry. I want to pass it to Coach first. Then honestly, it is a open forum. Whoever wants to talk can. But Coach, are you as frustrated with the commission as I think a lot of us are?
Yeah, I for different reasons, absolutely. We talked about it a little bit last night on the Ramses' podcast, that I get frustrated with these guys because half the time they just work in corners at MMA events and boxing events. They just don't have a lot of these guys don't really have any idea of what they're looking for, what they're doing, where to stand. I mean, I remember trying to get up a ring. He steps into a ring to work on one of my fighters one time, and the commission is standing right in front of me, and I'm trying to not push this guy off the side of the ring. So, I mean, I've got 1 minute to get water and instruction to my fighter, and the guy's just standing there like an idiot because he has no idea where he's supposed to stand, what he's supposed to do. And, get some of these guys that get them some training, or get some guys that have had some experience in the sport. I mean, it's kind of like the judges, they bring in these guys that just don't have a clue of what they're looking for. And I think some of it is ignorance and some of it is training. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm thoroughly frustrated with a lot of these commissions. I know it's a part-time job for most of these people. But if you're going to do something, do it 100% or don't do it. Get out of the way, let somebody that can.
I can't hear Jake if he's talking. Sorry.
No. I said it
okay.
was a
Sorry.
Open forum. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. How quickly I forget when I'm drinking expensive, and I want to correct you. It is a liquor, but it's actually champagne. Champagne. Vintage 1997.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good year, people. This is a bad day. I don't even, like I said, you want to like feel happy for the guy. Like Christ. I want to talk about it. His life goal was to win a championship belt. I'm sorry, it was. Now that's like, he doesn't even get the chance because of the rules. Like, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't benefit anybody. Like, nobody.
WEC champion.
That is true. He was I do want to point that out, as Alan did earlier. He is the WEC middleweight champion. He did beat the hell out of Paulo Filo to win that damn belt. He was screwed out of it. It was like almost a pro wrestling angle type of screw job that happened to him. But everybody knows he won that championship, just like everybody knows that OJ killed his wife and that other gentleman, which the 20th anniversary of that was yesterday, by the way, coincidentally. Chael Sonnen, he didn't murder anybody. I can't even believe speaking of murderers, the axe murderer, Chael Sonnen retired before that guy. I don't believe it, man. I'm outraged. This is ridiculous. It's wrong. It shouldn't have happened. This guy had a few good years left in him if you'd let him take the proper medication. That was the whole point of it. That's why they make it. That's what we're spending money on in science, medical advances, and these people, the commission, they're moving backwards, and I'm outraged, man. This is terrible.
You know, it was kind of, it's been said, you know, the greatest thing you can do is inspire people. And, you know, I kind of look at kind of like what Alan was saying and you guys touched on was, you know, I mean, the fan base that Chael's created around just, you know, I mean, we've got podcasts that we've got all these loyal fans. I mean, obviously we do this podcast every Tuesday and you guys do this podcast every Wednesday, and the amount of people that have kind of we've developed like this team, you know, the team dark side, the bad guys, you know, when you look at the amount of people that he's brought together, I tweeted maybe, I don't know, an hour ago or whatever, the greatest part of all of this stuff is the relationships that you obtain going through this whole crazy process. And you know, it's awesome, man. I've always enjoyed coming on and doing these podcasts with you guys because, you know, you really kind of reaching out to, you know, there's obviously some self-promotion that goes on with this stuff, but coming on and seeing all these people, you know, seeing all you guys at the fights, you know, at the fan expos and on Twitter. And I mean, this is the biggest piece, I believe, of his legacy. What Jake, what you said earlier about, you know, he's never turned down a fight and he's never turned down an autograph. And that's very well put because, you know, he's brought in a lot of people together and not just the fans, but I mean, the amount of fighters he's influenced. I mean, if you ask anybody on Tough 17, you know, they'll tell you that Chael really put them in a situation to be successful based on the example and that he set for himself through his words, through his coaching, and also through his actions throughout his career. And you know, it was amazing to me. And I actually text back and forth with this him recently. You know, I texted him. I said, "Man, imagine this right now." I go, "You're sitting front row at a UFC event in Brazil, and the fans love you. Who would, maybe Muhammad Ali? I can't think of too many other fighters that have had a career where he had an entire country that basically hated him. You know, he picked the fight with Anderson. He said all his stuff he said. He got the fights that he wanted. He angered a whole country. And
it was Rocky,
you know,
IV,
which
man.
is a great thing. It inspired these people to be passionate about MMA. If they hated him or if they loved him, like Ali said, they still came, they still bought a ticket, they still sat down and they watched the fight for different reasons. And then to have the opportunity to go to Brazil, right, where you know, we've got guys driving them around in armored cars with guns, right? And completely turn that ship around where he's an icon over there. I mean, the guy is loved by the Brazilian fans now, and he's sitting front row in a fight, and every time he comes on, they're cheering his name. To me, it was just amazing. Like, I mean, I would, to even just to be a part of that, you know, when I was over there, you know, got the honor to be on that team and help coach with him and Clayton and Scott and Vinny and Coach Eric and Chael. And I don't know, man, I look back on, you know, I think I kind of started coming around, you know, Clayton started working with him, I believe, around that. It was the second Paulo Filho fight, maybe the first, but he really kind of took Clayton in as his head coach, the second Paulo Filho fight. And, you know, so I've been watching Chael since, was it 2007 or 2008? and to see his career go from where it was, running the hill one day, the famous hill we would run every Saturday. And at that time he says, he goes, I think I'm going to get a little bit more vocal. I'm going to get a little bit more vocal out there. I'm going to start calling some guys out. And to see where he started that idea, we're running the hill and he says it to us, from where that started to where he ended his career is the equivalent of me saying right now, you know what? I think I'm going to start playing soccer. I think I'm going to play on the national team. I think we're going to win the World Cup, and I think I'm going to get the MVP award. That is as big a stretch as what Chael did, but he actually accomplished what he said. So for me to look back on his career and see all this stuff that he's done, who cares? World championship belt or no championship belt, he's done something that few people in history have been able to do in any sport. And, with the exception of Muhammad Ali, I can't think of too many guys that have gone out and accomplished what Chael has done. And obviously Ali is a national treasure, an icon of the country. Chael to go out there and absolutely, and inspire the people that he's done, have the career that he's done. For me is, I could give a rat's ass about that belt. There's been a lot of world champions, but there's been very few Chaels and Muhammad Ali. So for me, it's just amazing.
He was the people's champion. That wasn't just a gimmick. He really was, honestly. And absolutely. But that's why I'm kind of sad, man. There won't ever be anybody else like him. There won't ever be another Chael Sonnen. No one's ever going to do what he did.
I was at a Hallmark buying a Mother's Day card or something, and I saw a refrigerator magnet, and I had to buy it. And it was a picture of Muhammad Ali on there. And it said, I am the people's champion. Come up and say hello. I had to buy it. And I
awesome.
actually gave it to Chael as a present when we were over in Brazil. I think I might have gave it to him for his birthday, or I might have just given it to him. But it was absolutely, I saw it and I thought, you know what, I hope it's sitting on his refrigerator now, and I hope he looks at it every time he decides to open his refrigerator and get a Coca-Cola, because, nothing could be, it's a bullseye as far as the
Alan, I haven't heard from you in a hot second. What are your thoughts and frustrations with what the commission's doing with all of this?
Man, it's kind of just crazy because, like Jamie said, they're like a bunch of morons, man. They go up there, they walk around, and whether it's lack of training or whatever the problem is, like you said, it's a part-time job, but you still have to do that job competently. And we see over and over again, just in judging and all kinds of aspects of MMA, these commissions, they do stupid things that make no sense, that your average human being, common fan sitting at home watching TV with, minimal knowledge is smart enough to make a better, more informed, intelligible decision than these guys do. And the same goes for, the athletic commission. Some of the people that work there are, they do a good job. But let me just tell you something. Working for government, and those are government workers, I can explain to you exactly why it fails, why the commissions, fail to, do anything intelligible and, don't have a game plan and can't put things together, is because they're government funded entities. Government never, you look at the way that our entire country works, and it's just broken. The government, from the top down, and this is the athletic commissions are just another example of, government not functioning properly. And now it's cost Chael the rest of what he could have had of, a fighting career. It's disgusting, basically. I don't have anything else really to say except it's goddamn disgusting.
That's the bottom line.
This whole situation is it's asinine. I mean, the Nevada State Athletic Commission flat out of nowhere comes out and says, all right, TRT's gone. It's gone. That's it. Actually, first they say we're going to have a meeting reviewing it. They do it like 2 weeks before they have the meeting. So that everybody kind of thinks, all right, maybe this thing's going to go away. Then just at the meeting out of the blue, gone. No more TRT. There's no protocol for what to do with the people who are on TRT. There's no nothing. There's just no TRT. If you're on TRT, you're done. It's on the banned substance list. All the other banned substances, they're banned too. You can't do shit. We're done. To put forward a plan like that with absolutely no protocol or no thought process, because that's really what it was. It was a decision made on a whim at this meeting. I mean, they did not think this out. They didn't spend weeks deliberating this. They didn't put forward a plan, an action plan of some kind that outlined exactly what to do with people who are on testosterone replacement therapy, people who have been approved previously, who have therapeutic usage exemptions. These people aren't cheating. They were permitted to use it. So because you gave them permission and all of a sudden you're taking it away, you have to bridge that gap. It is unsafe for any person, any human being, and it doesn't matter if you're a mixed martial artist, if you're a cage fighter, if you're the Hulk, it doesn't matter if you're a regular person, it doesn't matter. Any person who is taking testosterone in any sort of way and all of a sudden abruptly stops taking testosterone, the effects to that person can be they are detrimental to that person. You need to balance it out. You need to wean off it, and you need to have something to bridge that gap. The only way to do that is to go on a different testosterone plan and to slowly wean it off. That is exactly what Chael was doing. They did not put something in place to protect Chael Sonnen. They don't care about the safety of Chael Sonnen. They don't care about the safety of Vitor Belfort. And I know I've bashed Vitor a lot, but I'll even bring him up because he's part of the TRT case too. They don't care about the safety of Frank Mir or any other person who's been on TRT and has to abruptly stop in order to continue fighting. That is despicable. That is incompetent. And in any form of government, and I mean, sadly, in this day and age, it doesn't happen, but in any form of government, when there is incompetent, if the government is incompetent, if the governing body is incompetent, they are impeached. They are taken out of office. So in this scenario, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, that is completely responsible for the backlash of testosterone replacement therapy, the ban of it, they should all be impeached. They should all be kicked out because they obviously aren't competent enough to do their job. I mean, this could kill someone. Honestly, they could end up killing someone. I mean, we're trusting the Nevada State Athletic Commission to sanction mixed martial arts, right? We're trusting them to oversee the safety of these fighters, and if they can't get something right as so much as this TRT situation where they have to take someone off their medication, how the hell can we trust them to be competent when it comes to other things like stopping a fight or the judging? Or
Damn right.
People want to talk about how there's a change coming in the Nevada in Nevada because they banned TRT, and there's change coming in Nevada because they're doing stuff about the judging and all that. There's no change. They got rid of that doofus Keith Kaiser, but the shit that's still bad is still bad. They still don't know what they're doing, and they're still ruining careers. It's
Tell the truth.
Despicable. It's disgusting. And now, if you've got multiple guys who are having these drug test issues, Chael, Vitor, Vanderlei ran away from a test. Who knows if he was on TRT or something? I mean, there's obviously a problem. And more guys are going to pop probably who are on TRT for something if they get randomly tested because they need to do this. They need to take something in order to wean off it. Now, Vitor hasn't had a test, a surprise test that is, since he was tested in February. I guarantee you, I mean, he's taken tests himself that he's had to bring his levels all the way down. I mean, poor Vitor probably feels terrible right now because he has had no way of slowly weaning off of it. Maybe he has. I don't know. We don't know when he took those tests, but that's the only way to do it. And if Nevada can't figure that out, I mean, as someone who wants to do this, as someone who actually wants to fight, why do I want to fight in the state of Nevada if they can't get something like that right? I don't feel safe. Would you feel safe? Because I don't feel safe.
Hell no, man.
Damn. Yeah, that's why they call him the best Jew in the business. Broke it down better than I could. Coach, we'll end it off with you. Final thoughts before we let you go and break down MMA. Final thoughts on all the news that came down the wire today.
Basically kind of pretty much what we touched on, for me, just the amount of people that he inspired over the course of his career, I think is the biggest legacy that anybody could ever leave. Really, the amount of people that he inspired, that I just tweeted out, but exactly what you said earlier, Jake. He never turned down a fight, and he never turned down an autograph, and the guy always showed up. And there's definitely there's an example to be set. So I'm excited for his future. I don't know what's next for Chael, but whatever it is, it's hopefully it's going to be something. Well, absolutely, yeah. In regards to the public Chael, I hope he continues to somehow, continue to inspire people, because really, I mean, he's an amazing fighter, but really his charisma and the type of person he is really what sets him apart from everybody else out there. So yeah, with that, that's really my last thoughts on it.
Coach, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm sure we'll talk to you next Tuesday on the Word on the Street.
Anytime, guys.
See you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. And follow him on Twitter at Coach Jamie Huey. There he goes, people. Coach Jamie Huey. Any other thoughts on probably all of our favorite fighter in the UFC, Chael Sonnen, hanging up the gloves?
Yeah,
anyone just jump in? Yeah.
I just I'll mention one more thing. With all this talk about him retiring and everyone trying to bring negative into this, let's just throw all this shit out the window and let's talk about one thing that really needs to be highlighted. I could not be happier right now for Chael. I could not be happier for Mr. and Mrs. Chael Sonnen, Chael and Brittany. For them to learn in the midst of all this that they will be having a child, that's wonderful news. And I think that's the best thing of all. And Chael said it best. If he had to choose between being a parent or being a fighter, he will choose being a parent any day. And I can tell you that Chael P. Sonnen is going to be an amazing father. And if it's a little mini Chael, then that gangster that'll be running around the mean streets will one day grace this octagon, the great octagon we have, and will destroy everyone in his path, and will run everyone over just like his old man. Or if it's a little girl,
Same
little
thing.
Miss Sonnen,
Ronda Rousey style.
Then I feel bad for any man who falls for her.
I already got the spoiler, though. It's going to be I can confirm that it is going to be a boy, a male, the son of Sonnen. Word on the street.
So we have Danger Waffles. You think they're gonna name their kid any variation of Danger Waffles, or go a little bit more traditional?
Oh, I do want to mention they have to. Unfortunately, they got to get rid of the dog. Danger Waffles has got to go. All right, this dog is. I don't know how much you guys know about this dog, but he's out of control, man. You can't have a baby around dogs that are just nuts, man. Trust me, I know by experience. Ross has the scars to this day, and I apologize.
I do. Fuck you, Dad.
But yeah, Danger Waffles has got to go. You just can't. The baby thing, it's not gonna work out. I will. I'm putting it out there, Chael. Hopefully you're listening. Congratulations on everything, your retirement, the baby. But yeah, I will adopt and take care of Danger Waffles for you. No problem. I'm putting it out there already. Problem solved. Get in touch. Thanks. Word on the street.
Yo, Alan, any thoughts on this upcoming Super Baby? I mean, honestly, I would put odds at minus 850 that this kid's gonna be a UFC champion. Alan,
No,
there
I
he
don't
is.
really have anything to. I don't have anything to say about it. It's just a glorious moment. One of the many, and the futures of Mr. and Mrs. Sonnen.
And obviously, aside from the kid, being able to get back and bring his levels back up without worrying about the NSAC, he's gonna be a more healthy guy, a happier guy. Hats off. Thanks for the memories, Mr. Sonnen. Thank you for pairing me up with all these funky motherfuckers I do the podcast with, and I guess let's keep on moving forward. Last Saturday, Albuquerque, New Mexico at the Tingley Coliseum. June 7th, we had UFC Fight Night, Henderson versus Khabilov. A lot of stuff going on. Dodson with a TKO, Dr. Stoppage. Brian Caraway, fish hooks some dude. Eves Edwards didn't look good. RDA with a good win. Benson with a 4th round submission. We'll talk about all of those main card fights in a jiff, but first let's start with the prelims. We had 5 fights. The first one was on UFC Fight Pass. Light heavyweight Patrick Cummins defeating Roger Narvaez, going from the co-main event of UFC 170 to the UFC Fight Pass. He beat Roger. Actually, we'll be talking about really quickly his fight against Kyle Kingsbury a little later. Another Team Rain guy beating Roger Narvaez 2 minutes and 28 seconds into the second round. We also had 4 fights on Fox Sports 1. Only one finish, and that was the lightweight John Tuck defeating Jake Lindsay in the third round via a submission. It says submission heel kick to the body. Honestly, I didn't watch the prelims, so I have no idea what the fuck that means. We also have 3 unanimous decisions. Scott Jorgensen defeating the Gremlin Danny Martinez via flyweight. At welterweight, Lance Benoist defeating Bobby Volker. That was an upset, I believe. And at bantamweight, Sergio Pettis defeating Yautzin Meza. Like I said, those 3 fights being unanimous decisions. I guess let's go Ross first. Ross, what did you think of the prelim fights?
Man, that's not the first time they let the Jew to go first. The prelims, Pat Cummings, I've touted up as being a very good prospect as far as light heavyweights go. He looked a little jittery in this fight. He looked a little slow. His striking looked horrible. I'll be just honest right there. His striking looked horrible. He was diving for takedowns a lot, just shooting from way too far out, telegraphing a lot of shots. In the end, he figured out how to get it done. And I think he'll look better next time out. He's just got to get used to fighting in the octagon. And you ask anyone who's trained with him, he's a monster in the gym. Chael himself will tell you he's very, very good, very talented. It's just he's got some jitters. He's got to overcome those jitters. John Tuck and Jake Lindsay. Jake Lindsay's a guy that I've been looking at for a little while now, and I think he still is a guy that everyone should look at, as is John Tuck. But Jake Lindsay, even though he lost this fight, he is still very good. He hurt himself on a takedown, actually. I believe it was in the second round. He hurt himself on a slam. So the heel kick to the body, I think he had a broken rib or something, and maybe that just aggravated the injury, and he was done right there. But he's got a lot of potential. He's got a lot of holes in his game, but he's got a lot of potential, and I look forward to seeing him return. John Tuck, very talented. We've known this. I'm not surprised he won. He's got more experience here as far as the big show goes. Yeah, I really don't have much to say other than that for John Tuck. Scott Jorgensen, he had his moments where he looked rough in this fight against Danny Martinez, but then he had his moments where he looked like Scott Jorgensen from the WEC who was contending for the Bantamweight Championship. He's just got to find that. He's got to be able to do that throughout the entire fight. He can't just do that for 2 minutes and then get hurt and chased around for a little while, give up a round, and then win. I mean, he's got to be consistent, especially when he's fighting for his job like he was in this fight. The way he's fighting now, he's not going to be a flyweight contender. He's got to make some serious changes, maybe a change in camp, whatever it may be. But, I mean, he got the job done. Lance Benoist and Bobby Volker. Bobby Volker, like I said, going into this fight, is a guy who's just going to come forward and just throw haymakers and get punched in the face and bleed a lot and like to bleed a lot. Just get into these bang him out wars. Lance Benoist's not that guy, and we saw that. It wasn't a fun fight. It was a very forgettable fight. I won't tell you what happened, because if I could tell you what happened, I'd probably jump out this window. I'm thankful I can't remember anything that happened in this fight. And then Sergio Pettis and Yeltsin Meza. Sergio, man, he's just not ready. I mean, he's squeaking by. He's in the wrong weight class. He's overcome by these lights. Another guy who just can't get past the fact that he's fighting on the big stage now. He's just too caught up in it. And it's a little weird, too, because his older brother is the lightweight champion of the world. So he should kind of be familiar with all this. Yet it just seems like he's stuck in the bright lights of the UFC. Very talented, and he shows his glimpses of greatness and his glimpses of talent throughout the fights. I mean, he's got some incredible kicks. After all, he's working with Duke Rufus and his older brother's Anthony Pettis. I think he needs to drop down in weight, and even though he is still growing, sort of, it's better if he drops down to his natural weight of flyweight. He's kind of said, I don't want to go down to flyweight because I'm growing into bantamweight. It's getting too hard to cut. Figure out a better way to do it. Drop a little muscle, because that's where he'll be competitive and a potential title contender is if he drops down to 125.
Alan, I'm sure you were tuned in, watching intently. What did you think of those prelims? You still with us, Alan? Alan's dead, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't blame him for taking his life.
Ramses, what did you think?
I'm right behind you, Alan. Yeah, the prelims, not too bad. I only have one fight that I want to talk about. The Fight Pass prelim, of course. I was blown away by the performance of Patrick Cummins. There was a reason he was headlining the Fight Pass prelims. This man put on a technical display the likes of which I doubt we'll ever see again showcased inside of the octagon. It was amazing. Patrick Cummins, explosive, wrestling, pinpoint. He kept the distance. He was feinting takedowns. You don't see that too often. He acted like he was trying to go for takedown, but really it was just a feint. It was amazing. Of course, he scored the TKO win. Nothing but love for Patrick Cummins. He is, why don't we just give him the title fight tomorrow? That's the word on the street. Patrick Cummins, you deserve it, man. I'm glad everything happened to you the way it has. Just Sergio Pettis. Come on, man. They did everything but spread the legs for you, dude. What the hell? No knockout, no spectacular moves. Big time fail. He's lucky if they give him another shot. Word on the street.
Word on the street. And I guess if Alan's just gone, it's myself, Ross, and Ramses. Let's briefly talk about each fight on the main card, because each one had sort of an angle to talk about. Alan, you still with us? I'll give you one more chance before I cut you off. Come back to us, Alan. He's gone. The first fight on the main card, Brian Caraway and Eric Perez, a second round rear naked choke. What a lot of people were talking about were the fish hooks. Brian Caraway in the first round, it seemed to, on the video, show that he stuck his fingers in Perez's mouth and pulled. Caraway said he didn't really do it after the fight, was very defensive. But Ross, what were your thoughts on the actual fight, the second round sub by Brian Caraway? Who's he get next? And what do you think about this fishhook nonsense?
What the fuck? I mean, seriously, you're gonna fishhook, really, Brian Caraway? Maybe Caraway probably still would have beaten Eric Perez, fishhook or not. I mean, he didn't use the fishhook necessarily to get the finish, but come on, that's dirty as hell, and he knows what he was doing. Eric Perez is very talented, and he's going to contend for the Bantamweight Championship, and he'll fight for the Bantamweight Championship one day. That day is not today. Brian Caraway will never fight for the Bantamweight Championship. He will hit his peak pretty much with this fight. They'll match him up with someone like Uriah Faber next, and he'll get dominated. And then Misha Tate jumps on Twitter and starts defending Caraway's cheating. I mean, seriously, you're going to defend his cheating because he defends your cheating back in the day when the alpha. Never mind. This fight's just fuck Brian Caraway. That's it.
Yeah. I don't blame you, Alan. I think Alan might be back. Alan, if you are back, tell us your thoughts on the prelims and all this Caraway fish hooking nonsense.
Can you bloody guys hear me?
There he is.
Oh, man. I didn't see it during the fight. I didn't see it till people started posting pictures after the fight. I'm not going to judge anybody, man. He was in there. It's between those two guys. Whether or not he meant to do it or not, he was still dominating the fight. So there's really nothing, like you guys always say, like the MMA media and everybody that's so critical of what takes place in the octagon, you never really know until you're in there and you're in that situation. And the only person who knows whether or not he did it on purpose was Brian Caraway. And if he says that he didn't do it on purpose, then I have to take the man's word for it because I don't have any other reason not to believe him. So that's about it.
That's about it. Ramses, tell us about this fish hooking bastard like your bastard son, Ross Finkelstein.
Well, we do have the photographic evidence of Brian Caraway doing this. I mean, there's no arguing. His claim was, I don't remember. Right. When was the last time you had your fingers in another man's mouth and forgot about it? No, you always know when you have your fingers inside of another man's mouth. Brian Caraway. What can I say about this guy that I know there's children listening. Look, I can only go by what I see and what I know and hear from people that I know, and I can only go by that and all the shit talk I hear about them. And on my show, Marina Shafir said Brian Caraway was a baby back bitch, and that's the word on the street as far as I'm concerned.
Not a lot of love around for Brian Caraway, so we'll move on. Peter Hallman defeating Yves Edwards in the third round. Ramses, I'll actually throw it to you first. We'll go in reverse order. You, Alan, and Ross. Your boy, your Thug Jitsu master. Just I don't know if it was a weight thing, what it was, but just did not look to have anything in the tank there. Got subbed out in the third round. What'd you think?
Yves Edwards is a legend, all right? There's something you have to understand. He's not 39. He's actually closer to 48. All right? He's been lying about his age his whole time. This fight here, I mean, it's like he made a mistake. He really just, you all saw it. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, the man he quit during the fight. You could see it. He gave it up. What was it, a sub or something ridiculous? He gave it up. Come on, people. I don't really know what happened. I mean, maybe he heard the news about Chael before the rest of us, but he was disheartened. He wasn't the same fighter. He's probably oh God. Don't even do this to me, Jake. Don't even do this to me, guys. Don't do this to me, Eves. He's another one of my greatest fighters of all time. He's number 2 next to Chael. And to think that he's going to retire sometime soon, damn, I hadn't even thought about it until right now. And I can't deal with that. I can't process that right now. This is some sad fucking shit. Eves Edwards, I don't know what happened. Hopefully it was just a fluke. But let's be honest, this probably is the cutting floor here for him. I don't know. I just wish nothing but the best for him. And this is, I'm devastated, people. That there is no God. That's the word on the street.
It turned very quickly. Alan, what did you think of Peter Hallman taking on Eves Edwards, that 3rd round sub?
It was just a display of what we like to call the young man over the old man. Eve Edwards, he's a legend. He's been around, man. He's been fighting since, the Japan back in Pride and, all over the world, been everywhere. Hell, my head BJJ instructor went a couple of times, went with him to Japan for one of his fights and cornered him. But you got these new young up-and-coming guys that are, they've been training in mixed martial arts, since they were kids, and they're so well developed by the time that they hit the UFC that, they've just got so much distance covered, and they've got so much of an edge in the sport. And not to say that Hallman's also, he's a bigger guy, and he just outclassed him, and it happens. It's it's not something that you can change or control. This new breed of MMA fighter that's coming up. These guys, they're unstoppable. You've got them in every single division, and Hallman's one of those guys to watch out for.
Stone Cold says what?
What, Ross?
Peter Hallman and Eves Edwards. Peter Hallman is okay. He's not great. His striking is meh. His submission game is actually fairly good, and his top control is very good. Eves Edwards is at the end of his career. This is the end of the line. This went exactly how I figured it would. Yeah, there's really just nothing left in Eves' tank, and it was nothing surprising to see this. Yeah, it went exactly how I believed it would.
Easy enough. I guess we'll move on then to Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Jason High. A few things to talk about here. RDA definitely won the first round. Round 2, he hits a left cross that just, take the legs out from under High. And the two sort of controversial things that happen. A lot of people think that RDA landed a few shots to the back of the head as that fight ended. B, Jason High has been cut from the UFC when the fight was over. He was arguing it was an early stoppage, and he shoved the ref, which I think it was right on that line of maybe, because we see guys being dazed, trying to single leg a ref, and Jason High was being brutally beaten in the back and side of his head just a few seconds ago. If I was running the UFC, I don't know if I would cut him, but it was sort of on the line of, on one side he was getting pummeled, on the other side he was arguing it was an early stoppage, and that seemed to be the reason he shoved the ref. So we have that thing and the thing on whether or not those were shots to the back of the head. Also, a big question is who's next for Rafael Dos Anjos. Ross, your thoughts on all that shit?
First off, I think this was an early stoppage. I also think that Jason High should not have been cut. There were two wrong decisions made here. One, it was in the hands of Dana White when it should not have been, actually. And the other was in the hands, really, of the referee and the commission. As we saw, the New Mexico commission was not the best that night, but I do believe this was an early stoppage. Jason High was doing a very good job of taking down and wrestling Rafael dos Anjos. On the feet, it wasn't going as well. Rafael came out, I mean, a man on a mission. He was just pressing forward. He came to fight. He came for blood. I was very impressed with his tenacity and his aggression in this fight. He was more aggressive than I've ever seen him in any other fight. Jason High, he got hit. He was hurt. He was badly hurt. But even though he had his arms trapped, he could not actually cover his head. He was defending himself. And the way he was doing that is he was turning his head and basically burying it in Rafael dos Anjos' thigh and his leg. And he was also trying to escape. He kind of had a half guard position, and he had he underhooked Rafael dos Anjos' left leg. So he was working to get out from there. He obviously couldn't cover up because he had his arms trapped, but what he was doing is by turning his head, he was actually making it so that the back of his head was facing up. In that case, if the back of your head is facing up, you can't hit someone in the back of the head. So what can he hit? I mean, he's got to try and punch to the side, and it's very difficult to do that. So he can't punch directly down. That is defending. That is defending intelligently. That is the exact same thing. It is the equivalent of if a fighter has both feet on the ground and their head open, but they have one hand on the ground, that stops the illegal knee. It's like the exact same thing. It's the same thing as turning your head so only the back is facing up, because yes, even though you can illegally knee them when their hand's on the ground, it would be an illegal knee. And just like it's the same thing. Yes, you can punch them in the back of the head, but it's illegal. So that is defending. And he did that, and he actually did take a couple shots to the back of the head, and the ref stopped the fight. I thought it was a poor stoppage. At the same time, when he did get hit, it looked like he actually went out. I think he went out for a brief moment when he got hit. It's just the timing of the stoppage was very poor. So you look at it one of those ways. It was just unfortunate timing, really. Who knows? He probably was done. I mean, if he continued on, got up, he probably would have gotten hit again and probably went down again, because once you get hit with something like that, it's very difficult to really stay recovered for the rest of the fight. So Rafael probably would have still won, but who knows? You never know. To push the ref after the fight, that was a very stupid move. He didn't punch the ref. He just pushed him. He did it out of frustration and anger, and he immediately started apologizing. I think he should not have been cut. I think a very strong warning should have been issued, a fine, take some of his purse, something like that. But don't cut the guy. Now, it's one thing to cut him, but Dana White, if you read the interview where he said that he was cutting Jason High, he mentioned that he didn't even see it. He didn't even see the fucking fight. He didn't see what happened. How the fuck do you make a decision on something you didn't fucking see? That makes no fucking sense. And I'm sorry for using so much profanity tonight, and I'm sorry for yelling, but I'm so frustrated with a lot of the authority that's in charge. Dana White, the athletic commissions, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. It's disgusting. They stripped Daniel Bryan of the belt because he's injured. I mean, yeah, that makes more sense than this crap, but I mean, for real, to cut Jason High without even seeing the incident. Phil Baroni punched a referee. Phil Baroni punched a referee in the UFC, and they kept him around. He was suspended, but they kept him around. Come on. Issue a suspension. Do something like that. Let the commission handle that, and they are going to handle that. They actually have a meeting in place where they're going to discuss the other controversy, which I guess we're going to get to next, or in two fights, and they're going to discuss this issue with Jason High, and they'll probably issue him a suspension and maybe a fine. Let the commission handle that. If you want to do something small, maybe a fine, a huge warning, obviously you got to give, fine. Don't cut the guy. Don't take away the guy's life, basically. I mean, This is his dream. This is the UFC. Everybody makes a mistake. And in the heat of battle, in the heat of the moment, when you're really frustrated, there's so much emotion that's just mixed around inside that octagon. There's so much emotion involved in fighting that you gotta let it slide. You gotta let something like that. I mean, you can't let it slide, but you gotta, first of all, you gotta see what happened before you can make a decision. But you gotta give the guy a warning. Don't just cut him. It was the wrong decision, especially if you didn't see it.
Well, Baroni doesn't get cut. High gets cut. It looks like being a New York badass gets you a little bit further than being a Kansas City bandit. Huh? Huh?
Whoa. Yeah, man.
Alan, your thoughts on
Wow.
Jason High and Rafael dos Anjos?
Man, I was shocked. I thought Jason High would really come out and be more aggressive than what he was. It just looked like RDS came out, set the pace. Jason, he tried to implement some of his wrestling, had some good control on the ground, but, just ultimately wasn't able to keep up. And RDS was landing some really good shots, to the body. You could tell it hurt Jason. And, the whole end sequence, do I think it was a early stoppage? Yes. Do I think that Jason High had anything left in the tank? No, I don't. And do I think that the fight would have lasted any longer if he had been allowed to continue? No. So, I mean, it's all a, no thing to argue. It doesn't matter. He was finished. Whatever. After the fight's over with, he shoves the ref. You've already set a precedent by not, firing a guy or cutting a guy who's, struck an official. There's been other UFC fighters, I can't think of them off the top of my head, that have bumped the officials or, shoved them before and haven't been
Tito,
fired.
he shoved Big John one time.
There's been recent things and guys haven't been fired. And also, I don't know. It's kind of funny. The UFC, the way that they handle things, they just kind of go along and pick and choose. It's almost just like favoritism. They pick and choose who they want to, target. It's kind of like working for the government. Whoever you don't get down on your knees and pleasure the people that are up at the top. They got the brass, and you got to kiss their ass. If you don't take care of them, then they ain't gonna take care of you. And the first thing that you do wrong, they're gonna get rid of you. And UFC just trying to keep the black man down, getting rid of Jason High,
Right.
who's a
Chael
definitely UFC caliber fighter. But you know what? It's all good because I heard John Fitch just lost his opponent, and I'm pretty sure that Jason High, they were talking about hiring him to go fight in World Series of Fighting. I think he would be an excellent replacement for John Fitch's last opponent and let him fight for that motherfucking belt.
Josh Bergman out of that fight. Ramses, your thoughts on a fight that Ross called an early stoppage?
Well, I think it's highly unlikely that we see Jason High in Bellator even. They said they didn't want him. Who was my... There we go. Yes! People, this guy's a thug. I'm sorry. They caught him early. He showed his true colors early. He saved the UFC a headache further down the line. This is a guy, if he's shoving a ref like he's in some backyard amateur MMA fight, if he's shoving the ref in the most elite organization on television, what do you think he does when he's not on camera in front of millions of people? Nah, this guy was bad news, written all over the wall. He's a thug. He screwed it up. You blew your lottery ticket, son. I'm sorry. You had everything, your dream, and you blew it just being a stupid thug. And I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for these people at all. You lay your hands on the ref, you're damn right. You should get fired. I don't care who you are. There's no excuse for it, unless it's like some sort of accidental thing, like when you're knocked out and you're grabbing at the ref and trying to take the ref down because you just got blasted. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this guy with his little anger, his little street anger and attitude. Get out of here. I don't care who you are. Don't put up with it. It's just a sign of who this person really is. Get the clown out. I'm glad they did. Jason High, see you later, man. That's the word on the street.
Word, we will move on to a flyweight fight. John Dodson taking on John Moraga. The first round, Dodson won pretty easily. The second round ended with Dodson just landing this high knee that busted Moraga's nose wide open. It was bleeding. Moraga took a seat against the cage. Dodson just poured on punches until the round ended. He was likely up 2-0 on all the judges' scorecards. But it didn't really matter because the referee stopped the fight after the second round. What next for John Dodson? It seems like he's probably a win away from getting another title shot. I would like to see him take on the winner of Ian McCall and Brad Pickett, which I believe is going to be later on next month. Benavidez will work his way back up, but he's fought him multiple times now and got stopped pretty brutally the last time. So I think we wait a little while longer before we give Benavidez a title shot. But John Dodson looking amazing. Ross, you've been speaking praises of John Dodson for a long time. I'm sure you saw this finish going down exactly the way it happened. What did you think of the fight, and what do you think of John Dodson's prospects looking forward?
John Dodson is a monster. John Dodson should be talked about in the pound-for-pound rankings. He's incredible. He dominates everyone. He just runs through everyone. The only person he hasn't run through is the champion, Demetrius Johnson. And if Demetrius Johnson wins this weekend, we will see that rematch. I think John Dodson has all the tools necessary to beat Demetrius Johnson. I believe he's the only person really in the division, other than maybe Justin Scoggins, who could get that job done. And I can't wait to see it. I think that's what we will end up seeing. Not to spoil my prediction for that main event, but yeah, I think John Dodson is a killer. And although the stoppage was a little funky, he was winning this fight no matter what. I mean, he was dominating. The third round would have gone the exact same way if he didn't finish it in the third. Dodson is a beast, and he's the only person who can really match that speed of Demetrius Johnson. So I can't wait to see that rematch. John Dodson should be talked about pound for pound as one of the best. I mean, he hurts everyone he steps into the cage with. He's a 125 pounder, but he's got the power of a 70 pounder. It's insane. He can knock out anyone walking this earth from 125 pounds to 185 pounds.
He weighed, 155 during fight night?
Yeah, but that's like it. I mean, he weighed 150, 155 pounds during fight night, and that's not a huge deal. I mean, a lot of fighters are like that. This guy could fight at 125. He could fight at 35. He could fight at 45. His goal is to win the championship at 125 and 135 pounds and 145 pounds. 145 might be stretching it, but this guy's got a realistic shot of being. I mean, out of anyone in the UFC, I say the person with the biggest chance of becoming a double champion is John Dodson. He's already got a victory over the current bantamweight champion, TJ Dillashaw. So what's holding us back from thinking that he could go up to that weight class and fight him again and have the exact same result? And then, I mean, he could fight Demetrius and beat Demetrius. Then he's got both belts. This is a guy who seriously could do it. Someone who could actually win both championships simultaneously. So look out for John Dodson, because this is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the entire world.
In the immortal words of Yao and Chroma, he's not black enough, so he'll never beat Mighty Mouse.
Oh, yeah, I don't really... it's hard to get excited about this. It's not... How do you even pronounce his name? What is it? Hoost or Rust? What? Nobody.
Who are you talking about?
Wait, what are we talking about?
We're talking about John Dodson and John Moraga. We haven't even touched the main.
What the fuck?
Yet.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Bendo fight already. I'm sorry, guys. My mind's all over the place. Like I said, I've been drinking all day, man. It's just, I don't even know. I'm all over it. John Dodson, Moraga. Yeah, come on. That was a work. and it wasn't a work on they. No, I mean, like, they screwed Moraga. Hands down, they did. He didn't agree to this shit. This was a pile of bullshit. That stoppage should be getting more attention, but it's not because of the whole Sanchez thing, which I'm sure we'll get to. But Moraga, man, got screwed.
Can you say what happened during the stoppage?
Let's see. He gets his nose broken, apparently, during the fight. Moraga does, by Dodson, right? And then, he keeps fighting. He goes to his corner normally. Everything's proceeding as normal. The doctor comes in, takes a look at him, and decides to just call it quits. He cannot continue. He wasn't even pouring blood. He was not indicating that he was done. He was not concussed. He was not acting like he wanted to quit. I believe they asked him if he wanted to continue. It was total bullshit. They just called the fight off out of nowhere. It was basically a repeat. It's exactly what happened. If you don't know your wrestling, it was the Montreal Screwjob. It was exactly what happened. They just suddenly end the match so that the hero wins. Dodson wins. Hometown hero. They assumed the first opportunity they had to end this favorably. They did, and we saw a lot of just dirty, crooked, suspicious shit. If it smells like a work, it is a work, people, and I'm back to it. Now that Mr. Sonnen's gone, I'm back into this, full on exposing what the UFC is. All right, half of these fights are rigged. This was one of them, obviously, right in front of your eyes. You saw it. It was bullshit.
And our boy Chris Lowe actually chiming in, saying it was a work actually. He's right. The cut man said it's good. The corner said it's good. The fighter said it's good. The doc was set on stopping in from the get-go. His nose was not broken in the end. And guess what? The doctor is from New Mexico. My God, people.
Another Albuquerque screw job.
Hell yeah. Speaking of Albuquerque screw jobs, Diego Sanchez and Ross Pearson. Wow. Biggest robbery of the year. A lot of people are calling it one of the biggest robberies of all time. I'm not going to lie, the first time I watched it, I scored it 29-28, but I watched it again sober and scored it 30-27. The fact that one of the judges scored it 30-27 Sanchez is insane. And this is just another example of UFC 167. I've said it on a ton of shows. The reason I think George St. Pierre was given that gift decision was because there were so many Canadians in the crowd. And because of that, every time George did as much as check a leg kick, the crowd went nuts. And they went nuts for any little thing George did. And for Johnny, they didn't really go nuts for anything. So, as a human, you're naturally going to be pulled toward, oh, well, I just heard, 5,000 people scream because Diego checked a leg kick or swung and it looked like he punched Pearson in the face, but he didn't, and the crowd went nuts. That is going to affect you. Honestly, we need some sort of, whether it's the refs putting in earplugs or whether they're watching, in a different room in the arena or not even in the arena at all, you are going to get hometown cooking, not just because the refs are from that place, but because they are highly influenced by what they hear from the crowd. And this is a perfect example. Luckily, I'm not sure what the deal was with Ross Pearson getting paid, whether or not he got his win bonus, but according to multiple sources, the UFC is going to move on. They're not going to do a rematch, and they're going to treat it like Pearson won, which he really did. Got robbed. Ross, thoughts on this robbery?
This was probably the worst robbery I think I've ever seen. I'll throw it flat out. I mean, Diego Sanchez swung at air for 3 rounds and was dropped and hurt and hit plenty of times and walked away with a decision. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. There's not a person on this planet who can convince me that Diego Sanchez won that fight in any way whatsoever. And I was talking before about incompetent athletic commissions. I mean, this stuff scares the shit out of fighters, out of up-and-coming fighters, out of current fighters. I mean, they're putting their livelihood in the hands of these judges, and they're making these horrible calls. I mean, when you think about it, Ross Pearson had $30,000 at stake here. That's a lot of money. That's life-changing money. $30,000 is huge money. And because he lost, he didn't get that money. Now, granted, Dana White obviously recognized the fact that the commission is retarded and incompetent and paid Ross Pearson his win bonus, which he deserved. But there's no excuse for something as despicable as that kind of judging. I think the right thing to do is to review the tape, have those judges come in who judge that fight, explain how they came to that score. Because I guarantee you, if you take either of those judges that scored that fight for Diego Sanchez and you ask them to explain their score, they watch it back. They won't be able to explain it. They can't explain it at all. They're probably boxing judges who judged this mixed martial arts fight where this dude ran forward and swung at air and all of a sudden stole the rounds. It's just horrible. I mean, judging is atrocious, and it's killing the sport. I mean, the sport's going to keep growing, but it's really bringing things down. It's just, and every time we think we have a hold on it, and every time we think that maybe we've got one up on it, it just gets worse and worse. We go to a new territory, and it just sucks. I mean, really? How the hell do you score this fight the other way? It's not possible. Anybody who understands mixed martial arts, anybody who understands fighting, even people who've never seen a fight before, you put that fight in front of them and you ask them who won that fight, they'll tell you who won. You don't show anyone the fight. You show them the faces after the fight. They'll tell you who won. You can tell clearly who won that fight and who lost that fight. Diego Sanchez did not win a single round of that fight. Diego Sanchez didn't win a single minute of that fight, let alone the fight itself. Despicable. Disgusting.
Alan, your thoughts?
Diego Sanchez did not win a single second of that goddamn fight. That was so bloody atrocious. I don't know what was worse, that or 9/11, because they were both disgusting acts of conspiracy by this government.
And what was sort of funny is the Fighter and the Kid podcast, if you do listen, Brendan Schaub said the week before the fight that if it goes to a decision, Diego Sanchez is going to win no matter what, because it's in New Mexico. Ramses, any conspiracy theories for Pearson versus Sanchez?
There really is no conspiracy theory. It's all right in front of you. You guys clearly saw a worked match occur, a worked decision, bought and paid for. You saw it happen in front of your eyes. That's the problem with MMA fans. All right? This is carried out in the open. It doesn't get more clear than this. If someone was like, give me an example of judges rigging an MMA decision, you'd point out this fight. All right? But the MMA fans, they're still in denial. I don't get you guys. This whole mindset that it's just bad judging. I listened to that idiot Luke Thomas's podcast show, whatever he does, the live chat. He's talking about the decision. He's saying it's just horrible judging. Not one mention. He did not entertain the idea or the possibility that the judges could have been worked. I mean, it could have just been bogus, a rigged fight. He did not bring it up once. What a great journalist you are, you some bitch. This was as obvious work as it gets. What else do they have to do besides show the judge sniffing coke as he's filling out his scorecard with money falling out of his pockets. They need to show you that. Is that what's happening now? It's disgusting. Diego Sanchez, I'm sorry. The worst part is that he believes his own bullshit. That's funny to me, but that's only because I smoke weed. That's the word on the street. The fight was rigged.
He's saying it was a rigged fight. The main event, though, I don't think anyone can call it a rigged fight. Benson Henderson getting the rear naked choke in the 4th round. Rustam wasn't looking bad. Was really giving the former champion a fight, but Benson is as slick as they come. He landed some great strikes, took the back, sunk in the rear naked choke. 1:16 into the 4th round. Ross, what did you think of the fight, and who next for the former champion? How far is he from getting another shot at gold?
It's another fight that it really went exactly how I figured it would. I thought Benson Henderson would get taken down a lot by Rustam Khabilov. I thought he would push the pace and it would be a tough fight, a really tough fight for a couple rounds, and then either Khabilov would get a finish early or Benson would take him into deep waters, and that would be that. And that's exactly what happened. Benson showed that this level is for the elite of the elite. This level is for the guys that are ready to be champions. Rustam Khabilov is very good, and one day he will be ready to be a champion. That day is not today. It was not Saturday night either. Rustam Khabilov, he couldn't pass that test. He showed that he can hang. He definitely was able to hang in there. And going into that round, I had the fight. I had the fight scored 29-28 for Rustam Khabilov. So Khabilov was up, in my opinion at least, and in most people's opinion, they had that exact same score. So Khabilov demonstrated some great grappling, but Benson demonstrated some crazy defense. I mean, just the little things and the reaction time you have to stop a suplex like that. I mean, Rustam had him against the fence and he had his back and he was going for that suplex, and Benson just did a little small thing that goes so far. He just hooked the back of Rustam's leg and that stops the slam. That stops the throw. You can't suplex someone if your leg's hooked like that. So just because he did that, he was able to stop what could have been a knockout. I mean, if he got slammed, if he got thrown on his head, that could have been the fight right there. So he came into this fight very prepared, very intelligent, and even just the little things. When he would get taken down, he would get back to his feet so quickly. And it was just masterful. I mean, the way that he was able to put in his butterfly, to get butterflies on Rustam when Rustam took him down, I believe it was the first round, he was able to bring Rustam up and then sidekick him. He sidekicked him away. I mean, you don't see things like that, but he threw a sidekick off his back to Rustam's body, and Rustam just stood up. He didn't want any more of that. It's little things like that show really how good Benson Henderson is, and it's these little things that just got him over Rustam Khabilov. It's that experience factor. It's just that extra knowledge. Rustam's good, and he will be a contender one day. He will be up in the top 10, top 5 probably, and we'll be talking about him a lot more. And he's going to go on to win a lot more fights. He'll probably dominate his next opponent and dominate the one after that too. So I think there are big things in Rustam Khabilov's future, but Ben Henderson has showed that we can't forget about him. He's still one of the best in the world, probably the number 2 lightweight, number 3 lightweight in the world. So we can't forget about him. That being said, to say that, it's a little weird because it's like he's kind of ducking Pettis in a way. He's like skipping past Pettis. Pettis has already beaten him twice, and he keeps saying, hey, the belt's being, he's not defending the belt, so come to me, come to me, come to me. If I'm Benson, I'm calling out Pettis. I'm saying, I want Pettis. I want that shot. Give me that third shot. I want to fight him. He's beaten me twice. He took my belt away. I want my belt back. Let me fight Anthony Pettis. And he should be making waves, and that's something that Chael Sonnen has showed us how to do. So that's the one criticism I have of Ben Henderson. Ben Henderson needs to make waves. He needs to talk. He says he doesn't like to do it. Well, too damn bad. If you want to win the belt, you want to sell pay-per-views, that's what you do. He showed that he's a big ratings draw now, but come on, Benson. Use your mouth.
What do you think's next for him?
I I think the fight that makes the most sense is a number one contenders fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. There really is nothing else. I mean, he's beaten Thompson. He beat Gill. Gill's fighting for the belt. TJ Grant's dead. Nate Diaz has got his contract issues. Rafael dos Anjos isn't worthy enough to fight Benson yet. He still has to get another win or two. Khabib makes the most sense. Khabib's next in line for a title shot after Gill. Benson wants a title shot too. He's next in line after Khabib probably. So match him up. Let's get a number one contender.
Thought it was great, man. It was excellent to see if another one of these fresh new breed guys, coming out of Dagestan, seeing the, grappling and just all the things that I love, man. A lot of people like seeing striking wars, like seeing back and forth slugfest, Diego Sanchez style stuff. But, man, I love to sit down and just watch two guys that just really, they know their art. And they're both so well matched. And to see Khabilov, actually winning the fight up to the point to where Benson, took control, got his back, and proved why he's a former champion and finished him. It's awesome to me, man. As a fan of the sport, to see things like that, it doesn't get any better. And also the fact that the ratings were the third best that they've been since it's been on Fox Sports 1. That's incredible, especially after Benson coming off that last fight that he had. The decision not going the way that a lot of people thought it should have been and not really being so much of an exciting fight. So Benson continues, to surprise us. He got a submission, finally, got that whole decision deal out of the way to where people won't, hopefully people will stop criticizing him, because I never criticized him for that. I've always criticized him for, getting wins I didn't think that he deserved. But, that's neither here nor there. The guy's a great fighter. He's super talented. And there's one guy that's got his number. And like Ross said, he needs to step it up. He needs to call out Anthony Pettis. I know why he didn't. He explained because Pettis is, pretty much tied up and pretty much broke anyway. So yeah, let's see the Little Eagle versus Henderson next. I think that's a great matchup, and it's going to be hell of an exciting main event.
God is my witness. Benson Henderson, not a big fan. I don't like this kid. I don't have much to say. I watched it. I was not blown away by anything. I just can't do it anymore. Benson Henderson, they should, if it were up to me, if I were the UFC, I would honestly, I'm not even joking, I would cut him immediately. This guy never sold a pay-per-view when he was champion. Why waste time? Get him out. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's the bottom line.
That is an extremely bizarre stance to take, but it is America. We are all entitled to our thoughts. Let's listen to the post-fight press highlight conference, starting off with Dave Scholler giving us the stats for the event.
Performance of the night, Benson Henderson and Mr. Hallman. And the fight of the night, Scott Jorgensen and Danny Martinez, $50K.
And then we went to Benson Henderson talking about his main event submission win against Rustam Khabilov, his first finish ever in the UFC.
It was a great fight. It was a good, fun fight to be a part of. The first round, he hit me with a shot, and I blocked it. I didn't land cleanly, but he hit it, he landed it, and pushed me backwards. Damn it, you're strong. But it was a good, fun fight to be a part of.
I definitely thought I won the.
Oops, and then we went to Diego Sanchez being asked if he thought he beat Ross Pearson.
I definitely thought I won the fight, and I thought 30-27 was ridiculous. But, I got my hand raised, and I'm happy. I felt like I landed the big power shots. I felt like I had him wobbled. I felt like I had him hurt a couple times, and, it was a good fight. I was happy with it.
Then we checked in with his opponent, Ross Pearson, who a lot of people think got robbed.
I think I won every round. I came in here who finishes Diego Sanchez? You know what I mean? The guy's a warrior. I tried. He put on a tough fight, but I believe I won every round. You know, it just sucks. I'm hurting right now.
In my mind, I've already thought I'm the best fighter at this division. At 125, I think I've...
Oops, sorry about that, people. We then went to John Dodson, beating John Moraga, really putting him in the driver's seat as far as title contention goes at flyweight.
It sucks. I'm hurting right now.
In my mind, I've already thought I'm the best fighter at this division. At 125, I think I hold the power and the speed. Demetrius Johnson has the endurance level of everybody in the division. I can't take that away from him. He's very technical. But as we've seen it before, I put him down every 1, 2, and 3 rounds, and he ended up winning the fight. So in my mind, I still think I'm the champion.
Let's check in one more time with former UFC lightweight champion Ben Henderson.
So I'm on to your guys' tricks, trying to get us to say this and say that, and I just, I want to reiterate, I do my talking inside the octagon. This is where I do my talking. So if any story you want to write, anything you want to say, judge it off my time inside the octagon.
And we will wrap things up with the flyweight John Dodson.
Man, the crowd was so electrifying. I just had to absorb it in. I felt bad because I didn't get that third round and continue on entertaining the crowd like how I wanted to. So, like, in my own eyes, I felt like I robbed the fans and robbed everybody here in New Mexico, but they were so appreciated of me being a local guy and just being from here. It's exciting because I got to rewrite history right now. Me and Diego wrote history, being the 2 Ultimate Fighters from New Mexico, born and raised, fighting in the first card here in Albuquerque and in Mexico. We just did it. We did awesome.
And a lot of people might disagree with Diego Sanchez winning, but he does get the W in the record books. I do want to cover one topic before we get to the interview with Joshua Sampo. We actually recorded on Monday. I want to talk about Jones versus Gustafsson, because we were talking about the Jones saga last week, whether he was going to sign, whether he'd fight Gustafsson next, whether he'd fight Cormier next, all of this stuff going on. It is official now, though. John Jones taking on Alex Gustafsson, UFC 178, September 27th in Toronto. Ramses, I'll actually throw it to you first. The first fight was a blockbuster. What do you think is going to go down in this one? How is it going to differ from the first? All that good stuff.
Well, I'll keep it real short on this one. I already saw this fight. I have no interest in seeing it again. All right. Jones, in my opinion, he beat Gustafsson. All right. Yeah, it was a battle, but he beat him. We don't need to see this again. I don't know why this got demanded and why this got made. Why there was such a clamor for it. It's ridiculous. I'm with John Jones on what he was saying before. He already beat this guy. Like, let him completely destroy the light heavyweight division. Let him clean it out. Cormier was next. Let him do it. Now we got him doing reruns. We're paying money for reruns now. I'm sorry. I buy these pay-per-views. I don't want to see the same fight again. Not this one. Sorry. That's all I got.
I think you're probably in the minority with that thought. Alan, thoughts on Jones Gus 2? How do you think it'll differ the second time around a year later?
The only thing different about this fight than the last one is John Jones isn't going to get to spend 5 rounds getting his face beaten. It's going to end, and it's going to end quick. And Gustafsson is going to get that belt, 12 pounds of gold wrapped around his waist, and John Jones isn't going to be able to run anymore. He's going to have to climb his way back to the top.
I feel like we beat this one to death. I mean, everyone has. This is the big story, the big topic. John Jones versus Gustafsson 2. We've been talking about this for pretty much the better part of the year now, ever since it happened. This is the fight that should have been made. I'm glad it's been made. I cannot wait to see it. I really wish I could go because it's in Toronto and I could make the trip with Yao. I think Yao's thinking about going. I can't because I will be just getting acclimated to life at Drexel in Philadelphia, and that's just too much. I can't do that trip. Plus, I'm broke.
He's a convicted felon anyway. They won't let Yao into Canada.
Oh, shit, you're right. I gotta gotta talk to him about that. He's probably listening to this right now. So, hi Yao. Fuck
F
you.
Yao.
Wow, great minds think alike. Anyway, the fight itself. I just think there's something about Gustafsson, man. Gustafsson is a monster, and he's turned it up big time, and he stylistically just matches up so well with John Jones. I don't think Alexander Gustafsson is like the new pound for pound king or someone that is going to run through everyone and is going to destroy Cormier and Anthony Johnson and Jones and run through the entire division and all of a sudden be called pound for pound number one. But I do think he matches up well with John Jones. Styles make fights, and every matchup's different. He matches up just so well size-wise with the reach, and then you throw in the striking, the boxing, and his takedown defense is incredible. He's the guy to dethrone John Jones right now. He already proved he could do it. Now he's just got to finish the job. He's improved since his last fight, and John has definitely improved since his last fight too, since their last fight, I should say, against each other. So it's a really fun, interesting fight, and it's a high-level fight, and it's truly the number one guy in the world versus the number two guy in the world. And it's always a treat when we get to see that. I am picking Alexander Gustafsson. I think Alexander Gustafsson matches up well, and I think Alexander Gustafsson has the tools to stop the takedowns of John Jones, just like he did in the first fight. And this time, I think he could seal the deal and finish John Jones. So far, no one's been able to put Jones down and really hurt him. I think Alexander Gustafsson's going to change that.
Powerful words. He thinks Alexander Gustafsson is going to take the belt. We got a lot of belts on the line in the next few months. I'm really looking forward to it. We do have a couple more news items to break down. We're going to break down UFC 174 at the end of the show, but I figure now's a good time to break out the interview with Josh Sampo, UFC flyweight. He's 1-1 in the UFC, joined the UFC in November after becoming the CFA champion at CFA 12. Was thought of for a long time before the flyweight division was established as one of the top 3, top 5 flyweights in the world. Had been keeping my eye on him for a long time. Ross can attest. I was rooting for him hard during his first UFC fight, the TUF 18 finale where he beat Ryan Benoit. It actually sort of sucks. Before that fight, he wasn't able to make weight. He missed weight by 1.5 pounds and lost $100,000 because he would have won fight of the night and sub of the night, which kind of sucks because he took the fight on extremely short notice, 10 days notice. Actually said the night before he accepted the fight, he had gotten back from, and he didn't say this in my chat with him, but I think was talking to Crooklyn, saying he had been on a hunting trip with friends and ate a bunch of barbecue, accepted the fight the next day, was maybe 30 pounds over, wasn't able to make weight, which kind of sucks. The UFC punished him that much for not making weight when he took the fight 10 days before the weigh-ins. But his last fight was at UFC 170, February 22nd against Zach Funsize Makovsky, former RFA champion. He lost a unanimous decision there. I talked to Zach about losing out on $100,000, who he wants to fight next, what he's doing now. It was a fun interview, so here we go. Me chatting with Josh Sampo, UFC flyweight. We are joined tonight by UFC flyweight Josh Sampo. How are you doing tonight, Josh?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. Right now, we're still waiting on a opponent to be announced for your next fight. Take us through a day in the life of Josh Sampo when you're not in an official training camp.
Right now, it's a little bit difficult because hopefully this won't be going on for much longer. But I'm teaching summer school, and so that occupies most of my day from 5 o'clock in the morning till about 1 a.m. And once I'm done with that, I come home and half hour to an hour nap, and then when I'm done with that, I'll go hit up some open mat, get some jiu-jitsu rolling in, things of that nature. If I don't already have a scheduled meeting with my strength conditioning coach, which I usually do 3 days a week. After that, then it's like a structured MMA class for about 2 hours, and if that day permits, then we usually go on to striking on after that. If not, then go and hit the weights again by myself at my normal training gym, or get a good running, get some cardio in, and then some strength training, and then home, get a good meal, and then wake up and do it all again.
All right, yeah. Teaching summer school. I did my research and saw you studied biology and chemistry in college. Is that what you're teaching the youngins?
Yeah, currently right now, I'm in the summer school, and I work for an alternative high school, but they all have their own set class that they're in, and I'm just helping them move along in their courses. But yeah, I'm certified in high school biology, and that's what I want to teach later on in the future.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was doing my research and read you like to wake up for 4 a.m. or at 4 a.m. for an early morning run. Have you always been that much of a early morning guy, or?
Not necessarily, but with the last couple fights that I've had so much on my plate, so that's the only time that I've been able to get up to get some road work in, and it's a great way to start the day, get you going, get your body ready for the day and the tasks at hand. But yeah, with having grad school or teaching or whatever the case may be in front of me for the past few fights, I've had to get up at 4 a.m. to get some road work in.
Jeez, man, you are dedicated as hell. You gotta respect that. Let's get more to the martial arts. You're a 3-time All-American wrestler, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, meaning most opponents probably don't want to see a fight against you go to the mat. Between wrestling and BJJ, which do you like training over the other?
I mean, I've trained wrestling so much in my life, it's kind of something that, I wouldn't say I'm bored with, but I really, really enjoy jiu-jitsu much, much more because it's a constant learning. There's always something new. There's always a new setup or a new submission or a new sweep that's being taught me. But wrestling is the ultimate get you in shape kind of training. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing better than just training traditional wrestling. So I enjoy them both extremely much. But jiu-jitsu is probably where I really it's more of a mental thing. It teaches you a lot of new moves, a lot of new technique that never's going to change. There's always something new to learn. Whereas wrestling, it's kind of just keeping your timing. You kind of max out when it comes to moves in wrestling, but I mean, there's always new tricks and trades here and there, but it's never something that dramatic as far as jiu-jitsu goes.
It's an interesting take. I like it. You said it might be a little while before you fight again, but do you have anyone in mind as your next opponent? I actually saw on your Twitter feed there might be a little bit of interest in a fight against Danny Martinez, as both of you share the nickname of the Gremlin.
I got offered to fight Danny Martinez a few months ago, but with my schedule again, I just, me and my coaches had talked, and it wasn't wise to take that fight on that time schedule. I told Sean Shelby that I'd love to fight. I'd love to fight the gentleman. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy, but just not on that show that they had projected. So unfortunately, that would have been last weekend. And then I saw that he had lost a close fight to Scott Jorgensen, and somebody tweeted that, and so I retweeted it. And I'd love to fight the guy, but whoever they want to put in front of me that's going to help move me along the rankings and up to that ultimate goal is definitely what I'm looking forward to. So whatever the UFC wants is what I'm up for.
Yeah, I would love seeing the Gremlin versus the Gremlin. I love people asking where they got their nickname from, so I've got to ask you, where did the Gremlin come from?
It honestly came from a couple teammates. I'm a big advocate for the fact that you shouldn't be able to choose your own nickname because it's not what you call yourself, it's what everybody else calls you, And so I was at practice, this was multiple years ago. I can't remember the exact date, but I was rolling jiu-jitsu with a larger teammate of mine. I wrestled at 125 in college. He wrestled at like 184, I think it was, and I was trying to choke him. I took his back, and I had his back, and I was kind of slipping a rear naked choke, and he was fighting my hands off pretty well, and I don't even know where I came up with it. I'm kind of a goofy guy, I guess you could say, and I started biting his ear just to kind of get him to take focus off my wrist, off of the wrist control that he had, and he ended up letting go of my wrist to grab for his ear, and I slipped the choke in and finished him, and he threw me off and was like, "Get off me, you stinking gremlin," and it just kind of stuck. And another teammate heard it, another teammate, and it just kind of took off from there. It wasn't something wasn't a wildfire that I could put out at that time.
That's actually one of the best stories I've ever heard. That's awesome. You said you're a bit goofy, so I'm gonna ask you kind of a nerdy question because I saw you actually retweeted Stipe Miocic saying RT if you aren't in the new UFC game. Has the UFC reached out to you or anyone else, as far as you know, explaining why the roster on that game is so small? Because from what I understand, almost every fighter did a facial scan for EA Sports.
I didn't even do a facial scan, so I mean, I know for a fact that wasn't even. I think they did all their hard stuff like right before I got signed. I only got signed to UFC back in November, so I'm assuming that they did all of their data load and all that stuff before that point. And it was just, I saw that tweet, I was like, hey, let's keep this one going, you know? So it would have been cool to really get on that game. I feel there's 3 things that you need to know that you've made it as a professional athlete, and one of them is being in a video game, being a character you can select to be in a video game. So I mean, it would have been cool to be on the game, but I mean, definitely not something I'm butthurt about.
Yeah, you've got a really bright future. I would put money down on you either being in this game later on when they do all the DLC stuff, or being in a future version. I've got to ask about the missed weight back at the Tough 18 finale. You ended up beating Ryan Benoit, but missing weight by 1.5 pounds made you ineligible for the $100,000 in bonus money that would have been coming your way. Now, it's not like you're not a disciplined fighter. And in fact, you actually took the fight on short notice, just 10 days before the weigh-ins. Do you think it was unfair for Zuffa to punish you, despite you taking the fight on extremely short notice?
No, I don't think it's unfair by any means. I mean, rules are rules, and the weight issue was 100%, in my hands. If I would have been a little bit more disciplined with the weight cut beforehand, I mean, there's a few factors that were 100% in my control. You know what I mean? I could have ate a little bit less, or I could have started training a little bit before that. But, it was just a time factor, and it was unfortunate. But, I mean, I look back at the scenario, and multiple people have asked me the same question, and it's like, dude, God works in mysterious ways. It's amazing how at that time I could have used that $100,000, but I didn't need the money. Like, I had a full-time job. I made every dollar I expected to make in that fight. I made my win bonus and everything, So I made every dollar I was expecting to make that I was banking on. That extra bonus money would have been great. I mean, I could have paid off student loans. I could have bought a new vehicle, multiple things, but I did not need that money. Looking in retrospect, I look back on it, and I've even read a few articles on it that my opponent had just had a baby, had just got married. His car broke down driving to the airport to leave for the fight. Like, he needed that money severely bad just to, survive, And the fact that it all went to him, it makes me feel much more comfortable in that fact that, his wife and his kid is taken care of, you know what I mean? It didn't just go back to the executives, or it didn't go back to the state commission. It didn't just kind of get lost in translation. It went to a good cause, or it's going to be put to good use, and people are getting taken care of, so.
Yeah, you gotta respect the way you handled the whole thing so maturely. Talking about weight, last Saturday John Dodson fought John Moraga, and the morning of the fight, he did weigh in at 125 the day before, but morning of, he posted a picture of him weighing in at 152, which is thought of as pretty high for a flyweight. What are you usually weighing on fight night?
I'm actually quite surprised that he bumped up that large. Like, if you look at him, he's not that. He doesn't have that big of a frame. So, I mean, yeah. I don't even know what he did, or if he ate some really, really dense food, or what the case is. But normally when I weigh in, I check my weight before I go to bed. And I usually check my weight the morning of as well. Usually the day of, I'm around 42, 43. So I've gained a significant amount of weight, but it's nothing out of the realm. You know, the 50, that's almost too much. I get to the point to where I feel like if I've got so much fluid in me, I feel like a balloon about to burst. So I usually get a great workout in that morning of the fight just to sweat a lot of it out and get back to where my body's used to competing at a high output. And but the fact that he was up at that high of a weight category just kind of it baffles me. I'm kind of curious as to how it happened, if that's a normal thing as well.
Yeah, I've noticed some fighters will sort of keep it balanced, keep it healthy right after a weigh-in. Other fighters will just go hog wild. Which group are you in after a weigh-in?
I keep everything in check. Like in order for me to perform at my optimal level, I have to be at a comfortable competitive weight, you know, and that 40 realm is right where I'm usually at. Usually the week of the fight, if I'm floating around 38, 140, then I'm perfect where I'm used to being. I'm comfortable. I know I can make the weight cut, get down to 125 with no problem. So that's about where I expect to be. And I don't feel sluggish by any means. Nothing sitting in my stomach. I think that's kind of how I did a lot of my wrestling matches too. That's about the right amount of weight that I would be at when I competed in wrestling too. So my body's used to that, you know, for the multiple years that I've done wrestling and cut all that weight in wrestling and competed at high levels for that. It's just carried over into mixed martial arts.
All right, if you were in the group though going hog wild, what would your number one cheat meal be?
Ooh, cheat meal. So this is post weigh-in.
Post are we'll say because you do it clean, you weighed in, you won, you traveled back home, and now you're getting dinner with buddies and family and all of that stuff.
It's honestly funny, man. After I beat Alexa Vila back in a year ago in January, we went back to our hotel and all I wanted was a steak and a beer. That's all I was craving was a steak and a beer. So I mean, that's probably going to be my vice. Just a good steak dinner, nice hearty beer, good Bud Light maybe. But that's it. I mean, there's really not much food. When I'm in training camp, I eat extremely healthy, and that's just kind of my lifestyle. I really don't divulge much other than that. I will, touch into some sweets. After every fight, I usually stop by a little Italian bakery and grab a couple cannolis and a cream horn or something like that. But I don't really go that too hog wild either.
Word. Final question. You are a UFC flyweight, so I would feel remiss if I didn't ask you about this Saturday's UFC flyweight championship fight. We've got the champion, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, looking for his fourth title defense against the Russian Ali Baga-Otinov. Who do you think wins that one?
I'm extremely excited about this fight. I think that the Russian has the skill set to dethrone him, but as Mighty Mouse has proven every time he gets so much better within every fight. You know, I think that the Russian's going to have a large issue with Mighty Mouse's speed, his great movement, his great footwork. So I think I'm going to give it to the champ on a 5-round decision. That's my projection, but I expected the same kind of thing with him and Benavidez, and he ends up knocking Benavidez out. So, I mean, you never know what can happen at any time. But that's kind of how I projected going, like a long, grueling fight. The Russian trying to chase him down, him just countering, getting in and out, hitting him a lot more, and just putting the leather to his face. So.
Yeah. Johnson's a pretty good favorite there. Josh, thank you so much for taking your time. Any plugs, sponsors, Twitter, anything?
You can follow me on Twitter at JSampoMMA. I want to thank some of my sponsors, On It, SC MMA, and Mom and Dad, of course. They're amazing. Just everybody that helps me, do what I do. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. And, of course, number one, God, and I thank him for everything. Just thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Get up on it. Thanks again, Josh. Have an awesome night.
You too, man. I'll talk to you later.
There he goes, Josh Sampo, UFC flyweight. Who knows who he's going to take on next, but should be a good fight, maybe a Gremlin versus Gremlin match. Who the hell knows? And people, I'm not coughing because I did any marijuanas while that was playing. We recorded that Monday. But you know what? Let's go straight from the Sampo interview to the 10 solid seconds of sports, where we break down all sports that's not MMA, but we keep it to 10 seconds or less. Let's do it now. The Spurs dominate last night in Miami, take a 2-1 lead over the Heat and a cramping LeBron James. Rangers stay alive tonight in MSG, make the series 3-1. The World Cup kicks off tomorrow with a match between Brazil and Croatia.
Fuck shit.
Alright, one last bit of news before we get to the snippets, the fight tip, and then break down UFC 174. Our buddy Pat Cummins with an impressive win last Saturday on UFC Fight Pass. He's taken no time to pick a next opponent, and it is going to be a decent opponent in Kyle Kingsbury. Ross, I want to throw it to you first, because I think all four of us can admit that you know the most about both of these guys. How do they match up? Will Cummins show a little bit more composure in his next UFC fight? Just didn't really look that prepped. Is an awesome wrestler, but he'll probably need to fight better than he did on Saturday if he wants to beat Kyle Kingsbury.
Yeah, he definitely does need to step it up a little bit if he wants to beat Kyle Kingsbury. But Kyle Kingsbury has not fought since September of 2012. When he
was that the Manoa fight?
It was the Manoa fight. It was Manoa's debut in the UFC. Manoa beat him up for 2 rounds, but he started to turn the tide. And actually, I have to say, if that fight continued on into the 3rd round, we would not be talking about Gustafsson versus Manoa, because Kingsbury would have won that fight. But the doctor stopped it. So Kingsbury kind of went out on a bit of a sour note. He is engaged, I believe, to Natasha Wicks.
I can't blame him for taking 2 years off.
Well, he's back now. He's ready to go. He's been training. He's always in great shape. He's not a guy who's getting out of shape. He's actually on fight day always probably in the best shape out of anybody on the roster. I mean, he is cut. He is absolutely cut during the fight. Pat Cummins, he's been going though. He's been training. He's been working this whole time. He's on the rise. Kingsbury's kind of maybe from what we've seen on the downfall of his career. So it's a close one. It's a very, very close one. I think it all comes down to if Pat can work out those jitters and not kind of get caught up in those bright lights and really kind of just let go with his hands a little bit and not be so stiff and weird with his movements. I mean, he looks like he's on roller skates in there. His stand-up's equatable to what's his name? Phil Davis. Couldn't pinpoint his name because he's so forgettable. He's got to improve that, and if he can, I think he can get past Kyle Kingsbury. But if Kingsbury can capitalize on the holes that he has with his timidness, he's very, very timid when it comes to his stand-up. If Kingsbury can capitalize on that, and he's fighting in his hometown in San Jose, Kingsbury can get the W. So it's going to be a good fight. Close fight. I don't know who's going to win, honestly. I think it's a really, really good matchup. One of the best non-top 10, top 15 light heavyweight fights you can actually put on today.
Alan, what do you think about Durkin taking on Kingsbury?
Kingsboo is going to make short work out of Pat Cummins. I'm sorry, but Pat Cummins has not faced the type of competition that Kyle Kingsbury has. And Kyle Kingsbury
Cormier?
won. No. He didn't actually fight Cormier. He didn't. No, it's not a bad argument. He didn't fight Cormier. He went in there, got punched. He went in there, got punched in the face one time, and then died. The other four people that he fought were all bums out of California. I don't know if any of y'all saw, but they had that article written about how they had this farm system of fighters in California coming out of this one organization that are like all bums and basically like 2-16 and like 0-8. Well, guess what? If you look up all Pat Cummins' opponents before he fought Cormier, they were all bums because nobody wanted to fight him. And
he's never fought anybody like Kyle Kingsbury. Kyle Kingsbury was former college football player. I mean, the dude's a beast. He's a physical specimen. You know, he's been away for 2 years, healing up, contemplating, you know. But you know what? The guy had I don't know, it's not spiritual revelation, but I think he went and did some of that special juice that Joe Rogan is always talking about. He went into the jungle, went and got with the spiritual healer and got his mind right and got his, got his man card back or whatever that Jimmy Manoa took from him. And now he's ready to go back in there and kick some ass. And I don't think Pat Cummings is going to have anything for Kyle Kingsbury. I think Kingsbury is going to just outclass him in every aspect of the fight game.
My God, Alan. I guess I agree. I don't even know, man. Patrick Cummings, like I said, can you believe it? I mean, this is the guy that's going to take the place of Sonnen, I'm guessing. He has faced one of the most elite fighters in Daniel Cormier. Patrick Cummings, we saw what he can do. He destroyed that man. He nearly killed that man last Saturday. Kyle Kingsbury, I like him too. I hope this is like an absurd wrestling MMA match. I want to see more wrestling. It's time for some angles. But I got Cummins all the way, man. He's for real. He's legit. Ask anybody. We all know he is the Michael Jordan of MMA. And that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. Yo, before we get to the snippets, actually, I wanted to check in, Alan. We know International Fight Week. We're all going to be in Vegas. We're going to see the rematch between you and Yao in Chroma. I actually wanted to ask what sort of things you're doing to train for that match and sort of your thought process going in. I think we're about 3 weeks away.
Yeah, man. I think I'm just peaking right now with training. I took a week off from jiu-jitsu just to let my body kind of rest up because I work a whole lot of hours this week. I work 8 days straight, and the first 4 days of that work week, I worked 16 hours each day. So I had to take those days off. But these next 6 days in a row, I'm back in the gym, doing Muay Thai, kickboxing, sparring with other fighters who train with top-level guys such as Dustin Poirier, Jorge Masvidal, like UFC high-level guys. I'm getting the opportunity to train with guys that have trained and fought with those type of guys. And today we did wrestling practice. We spent an hour just, hitting drills, wrestling drills, live action. So, just going from high crotch to, back body drop to double leg, just, running different drills that they run at American Top Team. Some stuff that my coach brought back from whenever he went and trained with Dustin in his last fight camp. So, just getting ready, man. Just getting my cardio in check. All the things that I need to do to be able to put a hurting on my number one best friend, Yao, soon to be in a coma.
And that fight is going to be streamed live. I don't know if we have a specific time and date hammered down yet. Alan, do we?
No, we still don't have, it's still TBA. I think we got some other factors that are...
Sorry?
No, I was just saying, I think we have some, determining factors that we got to wait on to kind of harden up and be cemented before we can actually put a date and time on it. But once we do, everybody will know.
Yeah, from what I heard, one of the big reasons why we don't have an exact time and date yet is that Yao is refusing to sign the contract. Is there any truth to that?
That probably has to do with him not wanting to make the agreed upon weight limit of 165 pounds. I was graceful enough, that he didn't make the 159 pound weight limit that we had agreed upon the first time that we matched up, even though I traveled 1,000 miles across this country to go fight him. I gave him a shot, benefit of a doubt. We went ahead with the match even though he was 4 pounds over almost. And this time, we had agreed on 165 pounds. And, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if he's trying to back out. I know he had some injuries, maybe, some doubts creeping up in the back of his mind. I don't know. Maybe you have to talk to his manager.
Yeah, and people listening, like, thinking this is a big joke, like, this is, like, really serious. Like, we will be streaming it. The first one was streamed live. This is going to happen. International Fight Week, July 4th week in Las Vegas. This is actually going down. And final question before we move on to the news snippets. I follow both of y'all on Twitter. Yao has been acting extremely cocky, saying he doesn't even feel like he needs to train, stuff like that. What goes through your mind when Yao says those sorts of things?
When Yao talks, I don't generally listen. I normally, end up seeing several responses from other people on Twitter, and then, eventually I just have to respond because it's silly. Some of the things that he says, they don't make sense. I don't know if it's that, Queens, New York mentality, coming from the hood. I don't think that he kind of gets it, but I'm not too worried about anything that he says. I'm only worried about what he does in the ring, in the cage, in the octagon, and by his performance.
This is hate speech.
Listen, by his performance back in December against a totally out of shape, unprepared person on his turf, fighting his way, I'm not worried. I wasn't impressed.
He is not impressed by Yao's performance. Let's get to the news snippets. Miles Jury out, Frank Trevino in to fight Abel Trujillo in San Antonio later this month. Josh Berkman out of World Series of Fighting 11 against John Fitch due to an elbow injury. Yep.
They pulled Trevino. He got scared of the Trujillo. So Abel's going to be fighting Bobby Green in Los Angeles or San Jose or whatever.
There you go. At either the LA pay-per-view card or the San Jose Fox card. Nice. Good to know. Thank you.
It's the pay-per-view card, 176.
176 in LA in August. Tony Ferguson versus Danny Castillo, official for UFC 176. Jessamine Duke versus Leslie Smith, official for the Atlantic City card. That's going to be one of the UFC fight nights. The UFC to debut their women's strawweight division with Gadelha versus Latamaki. Ross's boy, Eddie Truck Gordon, advancing to the semis on tough. BJ Penn winning the coaches challenge, which, a quick sidebar, I feel like Frankie made kind of a good point that it was kind of biased that the coaches challenge is like a kayaking challenge. Someone from New York against somebody from Hawaii. Like, who do you think is going to have more experience in kayaking? And finally, Habib Nurmagomedov and Anthony Pettis go back and forth on Twitter a little bit. That was pretty entertaining if you didn't see it. And I guess that brings us, before we wrap the show up with UFC 174, the most asked about, demanded segment on the MMA podcast. It is Ramsey's Fight Tips. Ramsey's, take it away.
Thank you, people. Welcome to the Fight Tip of the Week, brought to you by me. I got the word in the street, man. I'm in the street fights all my life. I've been there, I've done that. This fight tip, I always give you something about the actual, altercation. And I'd never really tell you guys, what to do in the aftermath of the fight after you apply the tip. So this tip is called What to Do with the Body. I guess. Here we go. What you want to remember when getting rid of any body is that there are 4 major components that you have to destroy to get away with it. Blood, bone, tissue, and enamel, which most people tend to forget. What you want... I don't know, man. I can't do this anymore, people. I'm sorry. I can't do this tonight. I can't give you a fight tip. I could barely... today's probably the top 2 worst days of my life. It's one of them. I'm sad. I have no energy. I can't give you a fight tip. I can't teach you anything right now. I can't be an inspiration to you. You can't believe in me. All right. There's nothing here for you. Not tonight. And I'm sorry, people, but I'm honestly, of course I got to be the character, but trust me, I'm sad tonight. This is the only way I know how to make it come across, and I can't pretend to be all strong and teach you how to whoop someone's ass or get rid of a body. I mean, I could teach you that, but I'm not feeling it tonight, and I apologize to you people. I don't even have the strength in me to punch through a sheet of paper right now. I couldn't do it. I honestly don't know what's the next UFC coming. I probably won't even watch it. This is terrible. It's the day MMA died. That's the word on the street. Fight tip.
That's the most depressing thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But we will keep on trucking. It is the MMA podcast, and you know what, people? Chael Sonnen might not step in the ring again. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But the MMA podcast, we're gonna keep bringing it. The word on the street, we're gonna keep bringing it. This shit ain't gonna stop, people. UFC 174. It's gonna be this Saturday. The pay-per-view starts as usual, 10 in the East, 7 in the West. It's at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada. We will talk about the main card, all that good stuff. But as always, we start with the prelims, and we'll start with those 6 prelim fights. The first 2 on UFC Fight Pass. A lightweight fight between Jason Sago and Josh Sockley. 2 guys I really haven't ever heard anything about. 2 bantamweights I'm a little bit more familiar with, and Roland Delorme and Mishinori Tanaka. I wonder who Alan's rooting for there. The prelim card is apparently being shown on FX instead of Fox Sports 1, which is kind of weird. But the prelims will be on FX. A lightweight fight between Kajan Johnson and Tai Hyun Bang. A bantamweight fight between Yves Tiger Jabois versus Mike Easton the Hulk. A women's bantamweight fight between Valerie Letourneau and Elizabeth Phillips. And a welterweight fight where Daniel Sarafian is favorited over Kichi Kunimoto. Ross, which fights here stand out to you?
Sarafian dropping in weight's actually kind of cool. Maybe we can see that dude actually do something that midget do. I'm sorry, I'll be honest with the viewers. I'm exhausted. What else do we have? Mike Easton. He's had a little bit of a rough patch because he's fought some really good competition. Brad Pickett, Rafael Dos Anjos, and TJ Dillashaw. That's a pretty deadly 1-2-3 punch right there. Or combination, I guess. But I think he rebounds well against Yves Jabois. The guy that everyone really should look out for is Mishinori Tanaka. He's 9-0. He's basically one of the top bantamweight prospects in the world right now. He's from Japan. He is an absolute monster. He's fighting Roland Delorme, I believe. Look out for him. He's going to run through Roland Delorme. So that's a name everyone needs to remember. Other than that, yeah, that's all I got.
Alan?
First and foremost, follow Michinori Tanaka on Twitter at Pinori. I've been following him for a while. His name didn't ring a bell whenever they signed him, but then I went back and looked at his picture and his Twitter, and I was like, holy shit, I've watched this guy on PXC like 2 or 3 times fight already. That's where a lot of the guys from a Korean top team also participate and fight before they come up to the UFC. He's gonna be a star. Let's just leave it at that. I'll wait. Let him speak for himself with his own actions. I won't try and hype you people up any. I'll just let you discover. And the other fight to look out for, it's probably gonna suck, but I'm gonna have to throw a shout out for Tae Hyun Bang. Dude's got a really reckless, relentless style, and I actually
think that he matches up really well with Cajun Johnson, and I think he's going to get the win here. Just Cajun, after the way he got knocked out on the show, I think that it leaves him wide open for a bang, and we're going to see a little bit of a Korean bang in the octagon on Saturday.
God, these prelims, I'll keep it real damn short, people. Well, first off, Alan, why are there so many Asian fighters on this card in the prelims? This is a little bit odd. The fact that it's going to be in Vancouver, that tells me right away
There's lots of Asian people that live in Canada. Let me tell you.
No, to me this reeks of works. I think we're going to see a ton of works happen. That's the bottom line, and I refuse to break down an Elizabeth Phillips fight because what? I refuse to. I'm not there yet. I did, out of interest, click on the matchup on the UFC.com website between Miss Elizabeth Phillips and Valerie Letourneau. Thinking, I just clicked on it, just seeing, maybe one of them's hot or something. Let's check out the pics. I'll be honest, I did that, and just to save everybody the time, just don't bother. It looks like someone is taking baseball bats to these women's knees, and that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. Let's move to the main card. A light heavyweight fight, Ryan Jimmo versus OSP. A heavyweight fight, Andrei Arlovsky versus Brandon Schaub. And a light heavyweight fight, Ryan Bader versus Rafael Feijão Cavalcante. The first one, Jimmo's got a puncher's chance, but I think OSP uses his wrestling game, wins that. A fight between Arlovsky and Schaub is interesting. I think Schaub has just got the speed, the strength. He has really good jits. I think he pulls out that fight. And people are saying, oh, Schaub's got a glass jaw. Like, yeah, so does Andrei Arlovsky. So we'll see if we get a knockout there. And another light heavyweight bout between Ryan Bader and Feijão. I think Bader wins, but I wouldn't count Feijão out. He's an explosive guy. He could end the fight at any moment. But if Bader is able to implement his game plan well, I think we see him win a decision. Let's save the co-main and main event for themselves. But Ross, what do you think about these first three fights on the main card?
Jimmo and OSP. Jimmo's kind of been up and down and not really that impressive other than like his first fight and the first minute of his second fight. And then he finally got another knockout win against, what's his name? Sean O'Connell, Steve O'Connell, whatever the hell his name is. Old McDonald. No one knows who he beat. Meanwhile, he's going up against someone in OSP who's riding a 4-fight winning streak, 5-fight winning streak. So he's on a hot streak right now. And he's looked really, really good in the UFC. I think this is more so OSP's fight to lose. I think OSP takes Ryan Jimmo down 3 rounds, wins a decision, or submits him. Either way, I think OSP wins this fight. Jimmo just really hasn't shown much to prove me otherwise. Arlovsky and Brendan Schaub. This is fun. This is really fun. Seeing Andrei Arlovsky back in the UFC is something I didn't think I'd really ever see, especially a couple years ago, especially when he was on that knockout streak where he was getting knocked out over and over and over again. I thought he should have hung up the gloves, and he's turned it around. He's on quite the run. His only loss being to Anthony Johnson in a long time. And look what Anthony Johnson's doing at 205. So this is fun. But Brendan Schaub he's improving his game daily. He's working his jiu-jitsu game. He's really adopted that jiu-jitsu lifestyle. He's banging Ronda Rousey. So, he's got good things going for him. I think this really is, as far as this is a young man's game, and in that sense, I believe this is Brendan Schaub's fight to lose. But both guys have glass jaws and anything can happen when you put two heavyweights in there who've gotten one punch power and glass jaws. So this is a pick'em fight, honestly. If you hold the gun to my head, I'd say Brendan Schaub because of the youth, but this is a pick'em fight. Don't bet your money on it, in my opinion, because it's just too risky. It could go either way. Ryan Bader and Fei Zhao. Fei Zhao looked really good in Strikeforce, and then he lost to Hendo, rebounded pretty nicely, and the UFC, he just gassed in his first fight. Like, he was beating Thiago Silva, who's in prison right now or something, and then all of a sudden he gassed and got destroyed. And then he finished Igor Prakaich really quickly in the second fight. So we really haven't seen much of Fei Zhao in the UFC, but none of it's really impressed me tremendously. So he's kind of he's mulling in the middle of the division. And Ryan Bader's kind of the same thing. Ryan Bader started his career off really well. He started 12-0, and then he kind of hit a rough patch, and he's just been back and forth. He can't get over that hump. But in the case of Ryan Bader, he beats everyone who's ranked outside of the top 5, top 8 of the division, top 10 of the division. And Fei Zhao is not a top 10 fighter right now. He beats Fei Zhao. He beats Fei Zhao fairly easily, I think. I think he knocks Fei Zhao out in the first round. He's just a better fighter. He's more prepared for this level of competition.
Alan, you with us? Did he die? Alan died. Ramses, what are your thoughts on the main card for UFC 174 in Vancouver?
Yeah, well, as God is my witness, OSP versus Jimmo. Jimmo's going to knock him out. No doubt in my mind. I can already see it happening, and so therefore it already did. Arlovsky versus Schaub. This one's going to be a work. One of them's going to take a dive. I just don't know which one. And it doesn't really matter. It's just, whoever's in the know is going to make their money. But this will be a worked fight. Bader versus Cavalcante. That's a who gives a crap match. That's like a filler fight. They probably just put that in there. Maybe they owed Bader a favor. I don't know. Lingering. And they need time to just, while these guys are fighting, they're going to reset the graphics or something like that. That's it.
You are a crazy bastard, Ramses. I think we have Alan back. What are your thoughts on those first 3 fights on the main card? We got Jimmo versus OSP, Arlovsky, Schaub, and Fei Zhao versus Bader.
How do you guys copy me?
Copy good. Roger, 10-4, Durkadur.
OSP is going to beat the ever-loving shit out of Ryan Jimmo. Andrei Arlovsky, his chin's going to hold up, and he's going to win a unanimous decision. Underdog. And what is our other fight?
We got Bader, Fei Zhao, OSP, and Jimmo, and we got Arlovsky versus Schaub.
Oh, man, Ryan Bader. First round knockout. We all know Brazilians are pretenders.
Easy enough. Alan keeping it quick and concise for us tonight. So we will move on to the co-main event. Rory Aries McDonald taking on Tyron Woodley. This is a fight I think Woodley wins. Rory knows he doesn't want to stand in the pocket with him. He also knows that even though his wrestling's good, I don't know if it's as good as Woodley. Woodley has a little bit more as far as wrestling credentials go. It was actually sort of funny. Last night, me and Yao the Truth were talking about a bunch of welterweight matches that could happen, and he is a big fan of Woodley. And he asked, what do you think goes down in Rory versus Woodley? And I was like, honestly, man, I think Rory's game plan is to sort of keep the outside and pick him apart. But I think Woodley's good enough to not let him do do that, keep walking forward, close the distance, and I think he wins. And Yao asked, what if Woodley fought GSP? I was like, honestly, I think GSP would fight with the with the same game plan, but just actually be able to do it and beat him. But yeah, I think Tyron wins this fight and puts himself in a spot where after this he's one more win away from getting a title shot. Maybe as far as the whole welterweight picture goes, we'll probably see the winner of Lawler and Brown take on Johnny Hendricks toward the end of this year. If things work out, we would hopefully see the winner of Rory McDonald and Tyron Woodley fight the winner of Dong Young Kim and Hector Lombard, and they would fight around the same time, late 2014. So the winner of that could fight the eventual champion. I know I'm taking a bunch of steps ahead and a lot of things change, but barring anything crazy going on, I think that's what'll go down. And I really want to see Nick Diaz fight again. Jesus, people, I love him. He's one of my favorite fighters. Come back, Nick. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Roy versus Tyron. What are yours, Ross?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Tyron Woodley has a black explosive percentage of 89. Rory McDonald is white. His black explosive percentage is 0.
That's pretty low.
Tyron Woodley wins by first round knockout.
What's the Westland Eagle thinking about this fight?
I don't know, because that black explosive percentage really helped him whenever he fought Nate Marquardt and whenever he fought Jake Ellenberger. So, and it also helped Yao out.
Except he never fought Jake
whenever his head went
Ellenberger,
to the
so
ground.
that really doesn't.
I think he meant Jake Shields. Heyo.
Jake Shields. I meant Jake Shields because they're both the same. They're just as boring as each other. Heyo. And yeah. So I think this is going to be a boring ass fight. Nothing's really going to happen. And after the fight's over with, we're going to forget about both of these bums because we all know that the only person fighting Matt Brown, the winner of Matt Brown, or whoever wins that fight, or Johnny Hendricks, is going to be the stun gun, Dong Young Kim. Yum Kim is going to get his title shot after he destroys Hector Lombard in August. It's going to be beautiful destruction. And then South Korea is going to take over the world. They're going to blow up North Korea. They're going to unify with Japan and China, and they're going to rule the universe.
Damn, that escalated extremely quickly. We do need to make some sort of a bet when Lombard versus Kim rolls around, because I think Lombard is going to absolutely steamroll Kim. But Ramses, what are your thoughts on Woodley taking on Rory McDonald?
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with what Alan was forecasting, even though it had nothing to do with mixed martial arts. But I will say Woodley versus McDonald, I just briefly, all I have to say is I hope that Woodley knocks this weirdo out. And that's the bottom line because the word on the street said so.
Hell yeah. Final topic of the night. We got a championship fight between Demetrius Johnson and Ali Bagatunov, or as we just like to call him lovingly, Ali Bag of Tuna. We also have a stat of the day as I pull this shit up. All right, stat of the day. Here we go. Stat of the day regarding this Saturday's flyweight championship. Let's do it, people.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
Ali Bagatunov, who hails from the Republic of Dagestan, will become the first Russian-born fighter in UFC history to compete for a world championship. Ali's 3-fight winning streak is tied for second longest active streak in the flyweight division behind Mighty Mouse.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
Hell yeah, and we will keep it moving. Demetrius Johnson, a guy who honestly, I think when this year's over, I think when 2015 starts, Demetrius Johnson is going to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I don't think John Jones makes it through Gus and DC. I have a feeling that Chad Mendez defeats Jose Aldo, which would make it a triumvirate, if that's the word. I don't know English very well. The top three would basically be Mighty Mouse, Weidman, and Velasquez at that point. But I think I would put Mighty Mouse toward the top there. Demetrius Johnson, Brian Stan said it best, breaking down the fights, that a lot of fighters, when they get the belt, they get a little bit stale, and it isn't that they get worse, but they stop getting better and better and better. They just sort of take what they have and keep working with it. Demetrius Johnson is showing us a new skill every fight. The guy is an absolute monster, and Bagatunov, he's not bad, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if his wrestling can match up to Johnson. I don't know if his striking can match up to Johnson. But this is the sport of mixed martial arts. Anything can happen. Just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was telling everybody that TJ Dillashaw, there was no way that guy could beat Renan Barão. Look what the fuck happened. So anything can happen in that sport. Saying that, Johnson is a special talent, and I think he finishes the fight. Let me throw it to Ramses first. Ramses, what do you think about this flyweight championship fight?
For some reason, I've just noticed in the MMA community, in that world, which I'm on the inside of, a lot of people have been giving a lot of heat to DJ, the Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson, recently. Uriah Hall was on my show the other week, praising him. Someone else, since then, a few people have actually called him one of the pound-for-pound greatest. So you know what? Even though I don't really care too much for, I'm a PlayStation guy, but I'll back the hype train. Whatever. All right, DJ, let's see what you got. I think he'll take this one easy. At this point, he's cleaning out this division, which was thinly built to begin with. But in as God is my witness, hope nothing but the best for DJ. I mean, I guess he's a character to watch, whatever that counts for these days. I don't know. I'm sorry, worst day of my life. Word on the street.
Alan.
Jake, we all know that you're secretly a sympathizer for a certain kind. But I'm not going to go there. This is not the time nor the place. Yep. DJ's going to
Buck
take
Angel.
it. Bag of tuna doesn't have a chance. I'm sorry. I don't care how much Sambo he knows, how many fucking suplexes if he tries to suplex Demetrius Johnson's going to do like 12 fucking backflips and then throw a fucking spinning sidekick and knock Bagatunov out. I mean,
maybe even 13.
Exactly. I mean, he has absolutely no hope. I mean, Demetrius Johnson might actually become a video game character and perform some shit that we ain't never seen before in the UFC just because, Xbox sponsors him, and he's probably got computer chips inside of his whole body, basically like Wolverine had adamantium inside of his, bones instead of having bones. So DJ, he's a supernatural freak, half cyborg, half man, and there's no hope.
Ross.
All right. So the last couple of shows, I've given these great main event breakdowns. These great long main event breakdowns. I go really in depth and I tell you that this fighter has a really good shot of beating this person. I am off the bat going to give my prediction and then I will explain why. Demetrius Johnson is going to beat Ali Bagatunov. And he's going to do it decisively. Maybe it's competitive for a little while, but I don't know about finish, but it will be a decisive win. That being said, Ali is very good. He is not the best flyweight in the UFC outside of Demetrius, but he's up there. He's very talented. And he's in the right place, too. He's in the right camp. And he's got a lot of time to improve on his game because he's still very young. He's only 28 years old. He is a Sambo master, and he is a wrestling master, too. He's a really good grappler. And, yeah, there might be some times when he actually might be able to get a hold of Demetrius and possibly put Demetrius on his back. But he's not going to be able to keep Demetrius there. And on the feet, Demetrius is just too fast and too dynamic for him. And that's going to really it's going to throw him off. He's never fought someone as fast. And he has struggled with a good striker with great takedown defense in the past. Tim Elliott is a really good striker, and he's got some great takedown defense. And he had Ali like swinging at air in their fight. Ali hits really hard, and you don't want to take a punch like that. And if he does land on Demetrius, he could put Demetrius in a rough place. But once again, it just all comes back to that speed. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson is probably the fastest fighter in all of mixed martial arts. Him, Dodson, TJ Dillashaw, those guys come to mind.
History of martial arts.
It possibly in the history of it. Who knows? He is lightning quick. The guy can do things that pretty much most human beings can't because of his speed. His ability to change levels is second to none. 1 second he's throwing a jab in your face, throwing a combination, and the next thing you know, you're on your back because he's just that quick. And every fight he just gets better and better, and he's starting to finish fights, and he's really just he's starting to dominate his competition. You reach a point when you're such a great champion that these fights, you're just dominating them. And in his last 2 fights, he has absolutely dominated the 2 challengers in front of him. These aren't guys that are slouches. These aren't guys that are bums or guys that are lower top 10 of the division. He's beating the best competition they have available to him. I mean, he is getting the top contender each time. John Moraga deserved the title shot. He looked fantastic in his UFC fights, and he was running through his competition. He had 2 fights, and he ran through Ulysses Gomez, and he ran through Chris Carajal. Joseph Benavidez, he clearly deserved the number 1 contendership, and once again, he got ran through by Demetrius Johnson because Mighty Mouse is just that good. There's just really no area where Ali Bagautinov can outwork him. Sure, on paper he might be the better grappler, but in this sport, when we really just look at it, the speed of Mighty Mouse's shot and how well he has adapted the wrestling game. He's one of the best wrestlers in MMA, and this is a guy who didn't have a wrestling base, really. He wasn't a college wrestler. He dabbled in wrestling here and there, but he wasn't a super wrestler. He wasn't a college wrestler, but he's really picked that game up. He was primarily a striker, a kickboxer, but his kickboxing is unbelievable too. He's too dynamic and too fast and too good for Ali. It's not going to be that close. It really isn't. And it's a shame because we've had a couple of really good main events, and we've had, I mean, a really close fight this past Saturday, and the card before that with the huge upset of TJ Dillashaw, that was exciting. We're not going to see a huge upset here. Mighty Mouse is going to win this fight, and he's going to win it pretty sound. But keep an eye on Ali because he's getting better and better, and he's gonna beat a lot of guys in this division.
Honestly, I love breaking down these shows with succinct ass main event breakdowns. And if my memory serves me correctly, you pretty much hit the nail on the head for Hendo versus Khabilov and for Dillashaw versus Barao. And saying about Ali, yeah, he is a young guy. He's 28. He only has 15 fights under his belt. Guy has got a bright future. And really quick, I want to thank a bunch of people. Thank Eddie Bravo and Smoke Serpent for the intro and outro we normally use. Want to thank Dan Patrick for the stat of the day music, for the 10 solid seconds of sports music, which I will admit I got from that show's 5 seconds of soccer. Thanks to everyone who supports the show. Thanks for guests we've had on in the past, whether it's Chris Lieben or John Anik, Aljo Sterling, Michelle Old, recent guests like Tim Kennedy and Josh Sampo tonight. Future guests, we're going to have Wayne Barrett on soon. Just thank you so much, everyone who makes it happen. And I did want to give out a shout out to Smoke Serpent and that Jiu-Jitsu song, because it is the best intro and outro music that we could get. But you know what? I think tonight we're going to play it out with something else in honor of Chael Sonnen, in honor of an awesome career. It'll be Daryl Singletary. Too much fun. Thank you so much for tuning into the 94th MMA podcast. We'll see you next Wednesday for the 95th. Ross, where do we find you?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all, I'm going to pass out any minute. If you want to find me, you want to find the Jew, you want to make your life better, you want to make it worse, I really don't give a shit. That's really a matter of your own opinion. Go to your Twitter bars, go to your whatever you use. I don't even know. You crazy kids. Search my name, at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L.
Alan, patrolling the streets. Where do we find you, buddy?
It's not about me. It's about Mr. P. Chael P. Sonnen. Let's remember him. Follow him on Twitter, at SonnenCH.
And it ain't going to be hard to remember anything. The guy's still going to be on UFC tonight. The guy is still going to be the greatest of all time. Ramses, lead us out. Where do we find you, buddy?
The Ant Jimmy Show on Twitter. But last thing I want to say, open your eyes, people. It's time to wake up and realize what we're really watching here. The retirement of Chael Sonnen. Read between the lines, people. This was a setup. It was a conspiracy. It's no coincidence that the UFC's People's Champion Chael Sonnen gets forced into retirement the same week as the WWE does it to Daniel Bryan, the People's Wrestling Champion. Read between the lines, people. That's how out of it the Athletic Commission is. They're taking their cues from WWE's Monday Night Raw. It's bullshit, people. Always fight the power, but tonight, drink and just try to cope like me. That's the word on the street because it is the bottom line.
That is the bottom line. Once again, thank you for everyone who makes this tick. Thank you to Coach Jamie Huey. Thank you to Coach Clayton Hires. Thanks, Uncle Rudy. Thanks, Brittany. I'm so happy that Chael and Brittany are having a kid. They're going to be awesome parents. Thanks to all of our supporters, The Enthusiast, Kevin Black, Meds Ninja, Conley, who else? Fucking Davey Boy, our boy C. Lowenstein, Yao the Truth, Hiro Shinwoo. We love the shit out of all of you. But most importantly, tonight, Chael Sonnen, thank you so much. Like I said before, you never turned down a fight, you never turned down an autograph. Without you, none of this would be happening. Thank you so much, man. See you next week. We gone.
No matter what they say I've done, well, I ain't never had too much fun. Give me the reins and let me run, 'cause I ain't never had too much fun.